Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ICAI Global Week 2025 on the theme of navigating global opportunities. This is being organized from 29th of September to the 7th of October 2025 by the Directorate of Development of International Trade, Services and WTO under the leadership of CA Abhay Chhajar, who's the convener of the Directorate, and CA Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singhal, who's the Deputy Convener of the Directorate. This is a program that features sessions on global trade, business, accounting, and emerging professional opportunities across different regions of the world. Today is day 3 of the event, and we will be covering exploring the US and revealing business opportunities and sustainable development. Thanks for joining to benefit from the insights shared by global experts who we are joined by today. I'm your moderator of the day, CA Maitri Swaminathan, and as our guest of honor today, we are joined by CA Vishal Doshi, who's the chairperson of the FRRB and a member of the Directorate of Development of International Trade Services and WTO. CA Vishal Doshi has completed his graduation in Commerce with honors, is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and has also done his DISA and DIRM qualifications from the ICAI. He's a member of the Central Council of the ICAI, and this is his second term as a Central Council member. He served from 2025. He's serving now from 2025 to 29, and has served earlier from the period 2022 to 25 board. Has served as a member to 2022. Has been chairman of Baroda branch WIRC of ICAI from the year 2005 to 2006, and is a practice leader for audit and assurance with KC Mehta and Company, Chartered Accountants at Vadodara. He has more than 25 years of professional experience, and he looks after the assurance function for listed companies, government companies, multinationals, and large corporates. He specializes in convergence from Indian GAAP to Ind AS or IFRS, and has successfully led some very prestigious Ind AS implementations and convergence projects in oil and gas, power, infrastructure, and manufacturing sectors. To his credit, Vishalji has been awarded the Rashtrapati Scout Award by Shri K.R. Narayanan, the Honorable President of India. He's also been appointed as expert member on the Board of Studies in Accounting and Financial Management as part of the Faculty of Commerce for the term 2020 to 23 by the Maharaja Siaji Rao University of Baroda. Mr. Vishal Doshi, very honored to have you here, sir, and handing over to you for the opening inaugural address for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maitriji. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a privilege to address this distinguished gathering on day 3 of this ICAI Global Week 2025, an event that has truly become a landmark initiative of our institute, connecting knowledge, expertise, and opportunities across continents. This 7-day program, built on the overarching theme, Navigating Global Opportunities, reflects ICAI's vision of empowering professionals to rise beyond boundaries and strengthen their role in the global economy. I would like to compliment the convener of the Directorate, that is the Development of International Trade Services and WTO, CA Abhay Chhajar ji, and the Deputy Convener, CA Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singhal ji, for stitching together such a wonderful program, I would say a series of webinars that would be covering the global perspective as part of the ICAI Global Week. I would also like to welcome and thank our speakers for today, CA Girinath Dave ji. We have CA Praveen Jain ji, who has joined us, and definitely last but not the least, CA Maitri Swaminathan ji, who is moderating today's session. Over the past 2 days, we have journeyed through the narratives of Asia and Africa, understanding their emerging business and professional landscapes. Today, we will focus on enhancing operational excellence in developed America, which perfectly aligns with this broader theme. For developed countries, operational excellence is not just a business metric, it is a philosophy. It is about embedding innovation, agility, and sustainability into the DNA of organizations. It is about ensuring that processes are not only efficient but also resilient, future ready, and responsive to global challenges, be it technological disruption, sustainability imperatives, or evolving stakeholder expectations. The theme navigating global opportunities is particularly meaningful in today's context. The world we live is in no longer segmented into isolated markets. It is a deeply connected ecosystem where a shift in one part of the globe reverberates across others. For professionals, navigating is not about moving passively through this landscape, but about actively charting a course, understanding diverse markets, leveraging cultural strengths, adopting global best practices, and positioning ourselves as catalysts of growth and trust. It calls for agility, foresight, and the ability to blend technical expertise with global perspective. For Indian professionals, navigating these opportunities means more than just adopting international benchmarks. It's about engaging, contributing, and leading in global conversations on efficiency, innovation, and governance. The Indian diaspora in the Americas, coupled with the trust and technical expertise that ICI members are known for, positions us strongly to collaborate with developed economies. It allows us not only to learn from their experiences, but also to showcase India's strengths in talent, technology, and innovation on a global canvas. I am confident that today's deliberations will provide us with meaningful insights into how organizations in developed America are redefining operational excellence and how we, as Indian professionals, can integrate these lessons into our practices. More importantly, it will reaffirm how operational excellence itself becomes a bridge that helps us navigate opportunities globally while ensuring that growth remains both inclusive and sustainable. With these thoughts, I warmly welcome our distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants. I look forward to rich and inspiring discussions ahead, ones that will undoubtedly strengthen the global presence and contribution of the Indian accounting profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doshi. I think a lot of important points you covered, how operational excellence is a philosophy now and how it can be a bridge, between what we learn in the US and what we can bring to India into our practices, and how members of the ICAI are strongly positioned to, showcase our excellence as well as showcase India on the international platform. So thank you for your words, sir. And welcome to this panel session to our speakers for today. The session that we have for the next 1 hour, session number 5 of this week, is on enhancing operational excellence in developed America. Our speakers for this discussion are CA Girinath G. Dave and CA Ankit Chuk. I'd like to welcome the two eminent speakers for today's session. We also have with us today CA Praveen Jain, who is hosting our session that's coming up in an hour. Introduce the speakers to you. CA Girinath Dave is a dynamic leader in finance, entrepreneurship, and outsourcing, with over a decade of experience transforming businesses. He began his career at Deloitte, excelling in statutory audits, internal controls, and SOX testing across industries like technology, healthcare, and manufacturing. He has a keen interest in driving financial innovation. And as a founding member and director of operations at DigiMoney Finance, Girinath has played a critical role in securing an RBI license and scaling the company into a fintech powerhouse. Girinath is also a director at Axsource, a leading outsourcing firm serving accounting and financial service businesses globally. Under his leadership, Axos has expanded to over 650 member team, delivering high-quality financial services to clients worldwide. Girinath is a passionate educator as well, and is a faculty member at the DITS WTO, where he teaches export entrepreneurship, valuation services, and capital financing. He's also been featured speaker at ICAI's Startup Sphere 2024, and the residential refresher course for women CAs, sharing insights on building strong partnerships and networks. So welcome today, Girinaji, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. Chartered accountant with an executive general management from IIM Lucknow. He has over 17 years of professional services experience and has dedicated over 12 years of these 17 years into specializing in the global capacity center space. He's worked both in India and UK in the space and currently is a partner with Grant Thornton Bharat LLP. He's a key member of their global delivery team where he spearheads initiatives in technology outsourcing and staff augmentation. He's an accredited executive coach and a certified AI trainer. Ankit's leadership and expertise have been recognized with the prestigious Economic Times Young Leaders Award, distinguishing him as one of the top 50 young leaders in India across all professions. We are very honored to have you today with us, Ankitji, and welcome to the session. We're also joined by CA Praveen Jain, and I'll share a brief introduction of him, though his session comes a little later today. Praveen Ji is the founder and vice chairperson and former chairman of the ICAI Washington, D.C. chapter of the USA. He's a co-founder of the Seva Group, which is Seva Limited Certified Public Accountants Columbia, and a president of eTax Corporation in the USA. Praveen Ji is a Maryland licensed CPA and of course a member of our Institute of Chartered Accountants from India. He has over 40 years of experience in international taxation, expatriate and immigrant tax matters, foreign asset reporting and tax planning, and business advisory. He's associated with Seva Enterprise in Ajmer, employing more than 30 professionals, including many ICAI members, and has pioneered the relocation of CA members from Ajmer to US on H-1B visas. He's also an IRS acceptance agent in India, authorized to assist individuals in obtaining taxpayer identification numbers and ensuring compliance with IRS regulations. With a strong background in cross-border tax planning, he continues to provide valuable insights to businesses and individuals navigating US-India tax complexities. Welcome, Praveen Ji, to the session today. And I'll hand over now to Girinaji Ji to take us through the first part of session number 5.
Thank you, Maitri. Thank you so much for your kind introduction, and welcome you all for today's session. Good evening, first of all. A quick introduction. Myself, CA Girinaji Dave, based out of Chennai, and I've been on the part of business side since I have completed my chartered accountancy course, and I've been part of the leadership team of Axos and leadership team of Digimani Finance. So with this, a bit on the teaching or tutorial side, I've been part of institutes programs on outsourcing services, and I've also been part of global webinar series as well in my previous stint, and look to have a very fruitful next 30 to 45 minutes discussion with you all. Good evening, everyone, and happy Navaratri. Let me know if the screen is visible, and Maitri, is the screen visible?
Screen is visible. Yes, we can see it.
Thank you so much. And we have prepared a very quick presentation to be run through. So we will go through that, and I'm happy to take any questions as Maitri or the other co-panelists suggest. So this is going to be a table of content, and we are going to talk more on the pillars of operational excellence and what could be a roadmap that we can chalk out for Indian chartered accountants. So when it comes to operational excellence, we usually talk about operational excellence. A plan is as good as it to be if it is executed well. On similar lines, execution of any plan or execution of any mission is only possible if the operational team or the operational execution of the plan is done and chalked out well. On similar lines, when we talk about any outsourcing services or any F&A or FPO services, operational excellence becomes very paramount and important, because we are first working with data. Second, we need to be consistently right and delivering on time every time. So with this, these are the table of contents, and we will proceed with today's presentation. So definition of an operational excellence is a philosophy of continuous improvement, problem solving, focused on creating optimal flow of value to customer, internal or external. So as part of our example of Axos world, we started off in 2008 with a 5-member team, of which still 3 members are with us as of today. We have come a journey of around 17 plus years. We operate into the sphere of auditing, bookkeeping services, majorly with a target market in Australia, US, and UK markets. The reason why I gave the example of Axos is that in Axos, all the directors or all the people in the leadership team are operational people. We are not only from the sales or the front-ending side. We know the operations in and out. What do we mean by knowing the operations in and out? We will be able to talk and deliver the actual services that will be delivered to the client. So for any business to grow and for any chartered accountant to prosper in the US market, especially in the North American and US market, being operationally aware and understanding the nuances and talking the language that the client understands and appreciates becomes very important. So is there one straight jacket for it? The answer to that is no. The answer to that is, it is a continuous improvement process. What was done today, if it can be done better tomorrow, then it needs to be done. So that is the crux of operational excellence. Doing the right thing again and again, every single time, is operational excellence. Operational excellence doesn't mean that can never be something that can go wrong. However, if something goes wrong, doing a root cause analysis and understanding what has gone wrong and ensuring the right set of controls or right set of processes are put in is operational excellence. 2 major pillars of operational excellence are: one is process, other is people. You need the right set of processes, you need the right set of people. So if both the pillars are strong and are being maintained on a timely basis, then operational excellence is usually taken care of. So this is a very kind of a very simple framework. We cannot just limit ourselves to the financials or the technical side alone. We need to look beyond that. On an overall basis of the market is an extremely fast or scaled up market. The market is completely digitally mature. The market has high levels of governance requirements and high levels of scrutiny involved. At the same time, market also demands a very strategic oversight and overview of what is coming, and early adopters are usually paved well and they are always taken care of. Regulatory requirements, yes. Whenever we are scoping or we are scouting for any work in the US market, taking care of regulatory requirements is very much important. And it is not just about US market. Even in any other market, be it UK or Australian market, understanding the local laws, understanding the tax structure, understanding the way the tax systems work, and at the same time, navigating the nuances in cultural sensitivity, they all form part of regulatory system and trying to bridge the gap between the service provider and the service receiver. So let's look at what are those secret ingredients or secret sauces that can help you to improve your operational excellence. The first thing that we usually pen down is standardizing compliances and scalability. Your processes should always be compliant with whatever is the legal and regulatory requirements, and your processes should always be compliant with the various data security measures. Your processes should be compliant with the requirements of the internal requirements of your end client, and your processes should always be scalable. Please, whenever you start any kind of a business or an organization, do not start with the mindset of, if you're a 5-member team, do not start with the mindset of a 10-member team. Your growth should not be that. Your growth should be on par with any 1,000-member team. Whatever the processes and safety safeguards that a large organization would take in, the same safety and security safeguards should be implemented in a cost-effective manner. This is the first pillar. And for this, definitely automation is a very imperative measure. And the automation also helps you to scale up faster and further. Second pillar, data quality and governance. Having said that, we are working in a F&A kind of a scenario where completely most of our services are revolving around data and information. So always having a right set of data safety and security protocols or data quality index is very much important. There are only 3 principles in data safety and security, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. I usually, whenever I mentor any budding entrepreneur, I always talk about, please do not take too much of jargons into play when it comes to data safety and security. There's only 3 things that you'll have to keep in mind. One is confidentiality, second one is integrity, third is availability. The simple rules are, whenever a data is deemed to be confidential, only the authorized personnel needs to have access to it. Integrity, data being same and without being tampered or without being changed is integrity. Availability is access to data when it is required. This is what we call in our cybersecurity forums as CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If any organization is able to underscore and is able to maintain CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, then the data quality or the safety security of information is to a large extent safeguarded. And please keep yourself uphold to whatever is the latest requirements and latest changes that keep coming. Next, in the second pillar, have a active reporting mechanism. At the same time, always be one step ahead in terms of root cause analysis. Do not stop with trying to solve the problem. Always go ahead and see what can be done to ensure that the problem is not arising again. So next pillar is embracing financial platforms, embracing digital platforms. US being one of the tech-savvy markets, they have always been towards on the ERP side, towards on early adoption of technology. So whenever we are serving the American markets, we also, as a service provider, we also need to be aware of the various softwares or various technological requirements. It could be your new age accounting softwares, it could be your vendor management bills, or it could be your bookkeeping softwares, or it could be your virtual CFO enabled softwares, or it could be your monthly management reports, or it could be anything in your F&O space. But understanding those softwares and trying to be early adopters of those softwares will always help you in operational excellence. And this early adoption of new softwares might also bring in a bit of a cutting edge, which can help you to garner more clients. At the same time, retain the existing clients in a more efficient and effective manner. next pillar is on risk and compliance. So always have a very complied or always have a kind of a green zone where risk control matrices are always there for every single process. What potential risks are evaded at the process level or at the initiation level do not have a system of let us fix when it comes. That kind of a thought process or that kind of ideology will not work. So in the fourth pillar, we also talk about data privacy. So data privacy laws are very stringent in the North American markets, ensuring that minimalistic usage of data is much appreciated. At the same time, please collect data only as much as required. If your data can be anomalized without any PI information, which is your personal information, then collect such kind of data. We also mentioned to most of our people who come for mentoring, purge the data whenever it is not required, and always have in your service level agreements and master service agreements that data will not be stored forever. Have a time period of a month or two since once you complete the job, and ensure that you have the right set of controls or processes in place to purge the data and ensure that process happens in an effective manner. And the next pillar is trying to build a culture. So usually what we understand from culture is that culture doesn't mean Indian culture or the westernized culture or anything. Within your small organization, try to bring a culture of safety, try to bring a culture of growth, try to harness a culture of continuous improvement. If there is a culture of continuous improvement, then most of the times you will be one step ahead than your competitors, which is a good sign. And with this, we are completing with the major pillars. And when it comes to roadmap, how do you benchmark yourself and how do you bridge the gap of what is there existing in the market, or what is your end milestone or the goal from where you are? There are three major roadmap steps that I would like to propose. First one is that understand and benchmark, or assess and benchmark. So what we mean by assess and benchmark, first, whatever is your client's requirements or whatever is your target market that you are trying to hit, understand what is the existing offering and benchmark that with what is your offering. Do a value chain analysis to understand what you can do better to ensure there is a differentiation in the services that you offer. So always assessing your existing processes with the industry experts or with the industry average or industry norms would help you to see where you are going wrong and what are the stages of improvement. This kind of assessment and benchmarking helps you in building a robust, operationally excellent processes and team. Second step, once you have assessed, you have understood where you are lagging or which are those areas that needs further strength, bringing strategy and transform your existing processes. It could be using some kind of a technology, or it could be using in adding more human resources, or it could be also through a kind of outsourcing, or whatever is your strategy. Bring in, strategize your thought process and try to implement that in a swift. However, try to do a pilot. Once you are clear in terms of that you're bridging the gap, then scale it up. Third roadmap step, once you have kind of done your pilot and you're good to go, sustain and evolve. So what we mean by sustain and evolve, this is nothing but again, circling back to your operational excellence, which can help you to garner more clients, always try to understand, is your process, your existing process that you are performing, is that competitive? Is that good? Is there a scope of improvement? If there is a scope of improvement, always please keep circling back to step one and ensure that you benchmark and you strategize. That's your step two. And once you have attained your goal, always be on the step three to keep on sustaining and trying to evolve your existing processes. And usually in these kind of steps, your monthly your management reports, your overviews, your KPIs, and recognizing the right set of people will always help you to grow. So these are all some of the key takeaways. Probably you can have a look at it in your leisure. And with this, I'm open to questions. Thank you, Maitri. Thank you, Ankit, and thank you everyone for this opportunity.
Thank you, Girirajji. I mean, a lot of important points on the pillars of process and people and how to use digital platforms, risk compliance. I mean, very, very relevant. Message for the audience to leave questions on the chat box so that we can take it up with, our learned panel members who are here with us today and take benefit of their presence. So please share your questions, and we are happy to share them with our speakers. One question from my side. Cybersecurity is becoming more and more important, and there is so much of interplay between cybersecurity and the use of technology to manage it as of today. So, what is your experience with this aspect?
Thank you, Maitri, and definitely that's one of big strategic decision discussion things that we usually have in our leadership board. I would say every business, every structure is different. No two companies are same. No two markets are the same. So there is never going to be a straight jacket answer to it. But basis your size of business, basis your market, and basis understanding your clients potential and importance to data, your cyber security should be different and tailored. It is not sufficient if you just put in fancy softwares or technology alone. Ensuring you have the right set of technological requirements, you have the right set of access controls, you have the right set of physical controls, and you have the right set of backups and storage mechanisms would always be helpful in any case of I will not call it disaster, but any cases of unknown events.
Absolutely good tips, because there have been, we know of many cases of cybersecurity leaks that have happened, and companies literally being held ransom for their data. So, very good tips to safeguard ourselves. The best we can do is safeguard ourselves proactively. And you've shared how that can be done. So thanks a lot for that.
Just adding one more point, Maitri, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Having the right set of controls on this topic, on safety and security of data and information, is much more paramount and important than having expending or doing an cost analysis for recovery purpose.
Absolutely, how right you are. So thanks a lot. I will request you, Girinaji, to stay with us. I'm sure there are going to be questions from our audience for you. So please continue staying with us while I request Ankit ji to share his thoughts on today's topic.
So thank you. And I think Girinath has covered most of the things that I was planning to cover, but let me still present the deck that I have gotten created. And then please let me know once this is visible. I think in interest of time, what I'll try and do is cover what I have in next 15-20 minutes, and then we'll keep the last 10-15 minutes for any questions that there may be. I hear that there are close to 500 participants that are there. So I think whatever questions that are there, we'll pick those up. Uh, while Maitriji has done a very I think big introduction for me, so keeping it humble here. My name is Ankit Chog, and chartered accountant by profession, and I have been in the global capability center space, primarily dealing uh, with some 10, 12 different countries for the last 13, 14 years. So that's where my experience kind of comes in. Uh, and then talking about operational excellence, how Girinath has kind of defined as goes absolutely bang on. It's the core of anything and everything that you would be doing. And I'll take one example outside this purview, which is of late my very classic example on operational excellence. If anyone has read about minimalist and how they have gone about their work, so they entered into a market of skincare, so to say, very open market, thousands and thousands of players, but just by pure operational excellence and execution, they were able to build a brand as big that HUL acquired them for thousands of crores. So just goes on to kind of show in of how well you can create a difference and make a dent, even by doing the same thing, which probably hundreds or thousands of other players are doing, solely by bringing in that operational excellence and mastery in the overall execution that you would be doing. Right. So with that, let me kind of move forward because we're talking about US. Needless to say, I think whenever it comes to outsourcing or any other opportunity, speaking globally, US does come across as probably the most preferred country, so to say. They are the biggest economy. Their GDP is estimated to be exceeding $30 trillion this year. But along with that, there are a lot of opportunities that are there from a US perspective, from their complex regulatory environment to the growing demand of the offshore GCCs, severe shortage of talent. So there was this recent survey that by 2030, US would probably be short of close to 3 lakh CPAs in their country. And then that obviously gives us a great opportunity. And also with the recent H-1B visas and everything that's kind of happening around it, which is yet to unfold of what really it means. But again, goes on to say that there might be opportunities that may come in because of that, of the work that comes to India or has to be done from India primarily. And with that shortage plus all the cost pressure that we are seeing across industries, and in trying to bring in that excellence, it's a premium opportunities for CA, especially from a country like India, to be able to capitalize on it by delivering that consistent quality and innovation. Right? From a GCC's perspective, obviously number of fields that you can kind of get in, starting from the basic financial reporting, as much as bookkeeping or any back office work that you could probably be doing. A lot of audit support work, again, one of the core businesses that kind of gets outsourced. So any of the large firms, small firms, anything that you kind of pick up, audit being a regulatory requirement, you would see a lot of that work coming to India from an overall perspective. Uh, Obviously, then there are tax compliances. And of late, what's really picking up with the advent of technology and all the Gen AI and everything kind of coming in is around the work that can be done on advanced analytics. And I'll touch more about it in the upcoming slides. But again, so some of the key things possibly be coming in from a GCC's perspective. Now, in terms of what does really define the success over there, so Girinath also spoke about this, but from an overall process redesign perspective, I think this is one thing that I request everyone. So when we talk about implementing Lean Six Sigma, etc., now this is something which all of us are doing in some shape or form already. But what my humble request would be that take out a day or two. So Six Sigma or Lean is not a very detailed program per se. Just go through the curriculum. You don't have to really kind of go and get certified. But if you have to look at operational excellence in anything, then understanding the methods behind that and how can you really put some of your ideas into structure and into action would come and play a key role if you really understand the Lean and the Six Sigma models. So these are the models that have been up and running for ages and then still play a very crucial role if you have to create any new process or if you have to even implement that in one of the existing processes and just improve from an overall perspective how that process is being run. And then if you do not know about it, again, go back, search about it. There are multiple belts within Six Sigma, starting from a white belt to a master black. The idea here is not to get a certification or make it like a degree for yourself, but just to understand from an overall perspective. And while you do so, definitely read the case study on the Mumbai Dabbawalas. They have one of the best Six Sigma scores, which has astonished everyone from the Harvards to the Stanfords that how people from India, Mumbai have been running this process for ages with almost zero defaults. The second thing, again, Green has also touched about it from a KPI benchmarking perspective. Uh, any industry that you want to kind of get into, any work that you are trying to get into, first and foremost, understand what the KPIs specifically are and what is really the benchmark for that particular industry. Because then only you will be able to gauge where do you stand at this point in time. And if you have to bring in operational excellence or if you have to improve certain things, then which are those key areas where you should be focusing on? So unless and until you don't really understand those KPIs and you don't benchmark yourself and your capabilities, it'll be very difficult to really identify what is that you should be focusing on. And last but not the least, so obviously either you increase the revenue or so the top line or the bottom line, the most classic thing in any industry, any work that we do. So from our perspective, wherever we can bring in those cost optimizations. Now that could be by building a center of excellence or bringing in technology, automations, uh, systematic elimination on inefficiencies, again, which kind of comes down from your Six Sigma and then what I just spoke about. So all of that, again, when you are able to optimize that cost, it is not only beneficial from your customer perspective, but also for you, it helps you either improve your margins or make your codes competitive as compared to everyone else in the market who's probably trying to do the same thing. Right. And again, that is where your operational excellence kind of fits into the entire puzzle. If there are thousands of people and in the number of GCC or anything that's kind of cropping up, because there's one thing that we have in India is talent, and that talent is in abundance. So how do we really compete amongst each others? And frankly, it's not even any longer the India story. If you look at a lot of countries closer to our country, so everywhere from Vietnam, Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Indonesia, all of them have now started to kind of come in both in the GCC space and otherwise and competing for the same market or customer, if I call that, which is US. So how do we really up our game is what kind of really comes in from all of these factors. Now, as per me and in the experience at least that I have seen in working with all of these countries for a decade or so, I think our biggest strength, which has always been and which continues to be, is the talent that we have. A lot of the countries are facing challenges from a talent perspective, both for the fact that they do not have younger population available, or the people who do not want to now get into public accounting or roles like CPAs, etc. Now, India has the highest population in terms of the youth that there is. And above that, which is very comfortable with the language, English, or picking that up as their second language and really kind of going and working on that. And if I compare with other populous countries or even the smaller ones that I just spoke about, either they don't have that youth or they're not comfortable with English as much as we are. So with that in mind, and whatever business or industry or capability center that you want to kind of set up, having that targeted recruitment, those continuous training, and keeping that workflows flexible is again something which will give you that edge to be able to compete and really scale whatever that you have to do. And needless to say, I think anything that I speak about cannot happen without this. Use technology as your force multiplier. AI, again, machine learning, I do not expect anyone to kind of go in, start to learn to code, deep learning, machine learning, but from an overall perspective, from an AI perspective, it has completely changed the game of what used to be, 5 or 10 years ago to what it is right now. And it's pretty much a level playing field for everyone. It's no longer the case that only firms which are coming in and spending billions and billions of dollars are being able to compete, but even someone who has a basic GPT model and paying 20 could possibly be doing a lot of those activities that somebody was doing earlier with a workforce of some 200-300 people sitting designing, planning those data analytics and so forth. So use this to your strength. Spend some time on this thing. This is an imperative. I do not think anyone can work in the future if they do not know at least the basics of it. I think yesterday only it was in the news that Accenture, I think they have asked close to 11,000 employees to leave, with the fact that those are the employees who cannot be trained in AI. So whatever workforce that they felt could not be upskilled any longer, those were asked to leave. And this is something which we are seeing more and more often. Now, I think the idea here is not from the layout perspective, but more so from the perspective that at this point in time, anyone who understands the basics of it or is spending some time in it can actually be competing with like a significantly big boutique firm or any large firm or whatever that may be, and bring in a lot of operational excellence in the work that you are doing on day-to-day basis. So really, really use what is there in front of you. I think these are the most exciting times, at least in my short career of 17, 18 years. But what AI and tech is doing right now to us and how it is changing a lot of these things is something absolutely phenomenal and really exciting to see of how it kind of turns out as we move forward from here. Centers of excellence, I kind of briefly touched upon it. I'll take you from also what Girinath was speaking about. Now, the idea is not just to keep scaling what you are doing. So the example that he gave, even if you have 5 people, do not think about the fact that how do you convert it into 10, or even if the 1,000, the way you have to work. I think one thing which is really working well these days is building those small centers of excellence, equipping them with the right technology. Again, it doesn't have to be that you're investing a lot of money into that tech, but having the right set of people, choosing the right talent, training them or equipping them with the right technology, and building that small center of excellence which can potentially help you perform the work, which in any other landscape may not possibly even be done by a very, very large team. So those centers of excellence is something which is again really changing the game. So it's no longer being jack of all trades, which we typically try and do from a practice perspective, that I would be doing anything and everything. But when you are really trying to focus on the markets, my personal experience is that rather than going in and then saying that I can possibly be doing anything that you ask me to do, you focus on 1, 2, 3 key activities and really have deep specialization on that, a center of excellence that you can potentially provide, and make sure that the work that comes out is of a quality which is completely unmatched and incomparable. Right. I'll just now quickly cover in terms of the challenges, at least what we have been seeing, is around talent retention. Obviously, there is culture alignment, data security, which Maitriji also spoke about. From a cyber perspective, it definitely remains to be one of the key challenges, and the regulatory evolution, and something which keeps on happening. So these days, we are also in that surprise that every week Mr. Trump comes in and he says something new, and then we are scraping through what exactly needs to be done now. So with all of the revolution that's kind of happening, even as much as that now he's saying that probably we don't need quarterly reporting and we need 6 monthly reporting, or he is saying that he may remove PCAOB or whatever that he would want to do eventually. So a lot is moving, but I think people who really understand that and are being able to again capitalize on some of that would also give you that first mover advantage from an overall perspective. So I said from a solution perspective, I think choose your location strategy very minutely in terms of where do you really want to do it. Do you want that fancy office in a Mumbai or a Bangalore, or working in a tier 2, tier 3 city really helps you drive the change that you want to bring in? Needless to say, from a cyber perspective, data security perspective, there has to be an extremely strong governance structure overall. I think if you have to pick up just one thing from this entire session, I would say never ever try to take any shortcuts when it comes to governance, working with of the countries, specifically US, Europe, and so forth. This is one thing you can potentially never take lightly. No shortcuts, no cutting around the corners. Your governance structure has to be as strong as possible. If you think there could be any lapse anywhere at all, don't do that work. But this is what really builds in your brand and the quality that you are being able to deliver. Technology investment and then people development I've already kind of spoken about. So these two again remains the key overall. uh, Obviously, kind of leads from a well executed global capability centers or anything that you're wanting to do. So from an overall path forward perspective, just try to break it down simple 4 steps here. I think first thing first, do a maturity assessment, right? Uh, and in terms of again my experience, on one advice that I give everyone is, do not try and go and start to find what is selling in the market. I rather always tell people that take an inward approach and see what are your capabilities, and that is what you need to benchmark. So what is that you are good at, and benchmark your current capabilities against the requirements that are there in US or any other country for that matter, and then try to identify those strategic gaps. But never start or take an outward approach that, okay, this is what is selling right now, this is what the ask is, now I'll start learning that. I don't think that is the way to kind of function in that. Obviously, once that is done, have that strategic design. Uh, Again, from an overall perspective, develop those processes, have those challenge strategies in place, the regulatory structure, the governance structure. Again, needless to say, very, very important from an overall perspective. And just linking back to the first point, play on your strengths. Right. So you identify your current capabilities. What is that you are the best at or you are good at? You identify your strengths, and that is what you really focus on. I'm a big fan of the overall Pareto analysis. And so instead of focusing on the 20% that possibly you're not good at, look at the 80% that can really create that impact. Tech and compliance, can't stress enough on that. I don't think anything we can do right now, more so when you're trying to work cross borders, across geographies, and with the change in the tech that is happening right now, that you can possibly do without investing in that platform. And again, by investment, I do not mean those thousands or millions of dollars, but more so your time and finding that right tech that you should be using in from an overall compliance perspective. And obviously, once that is done, unlock the complete value proposition, and that is what you then take to the market and try to capitalize on that. So with that, I would end whatever I had kind of brought in, and happy to answer any questions. And hopefully we yeah, I think decently on time as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ankit. Important points that you made on advanced analytics and centers of excellence, and of course, benchmarks and benchmarking yourself, playing on strengths, and of course, like talent, technology, all of that. Question for you is, when you say that you have to benchmark yourself, where are these benchmarks available against which people can, see where they stand? So some references for the listeners in today's session.
So that's a tricky one, Metriji. I wish all of those were available as simply as we would want. There would go a lot of hard work and time that you would have to spend to find those benchmarks. You will have to do a lot of research in terms of what is kind of available there, study those materials, and then being able to identify. Obviously, some of those networks also help in speaking with other people who possibly be are already doing that work or so forth. But that has what been my experience. Girinath, if you have any different experience, I would want you to share as well. But for our perspective, whatever benchmarks that we kind of look at, I think we spend considerable amount of time to identify that or find that data to be able to build that ourselves. And I'll give an example later on, but I'll request Girinath to come in case he has something more to share.
Thank you, Ankit. Thanks for the opportunity. And first, I would like to agree with Ankit that we all wish that there was something like a telephone directory where we know what is the benchmark is, but unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. But from a benchmark perspective, benchmarking is a key exercise that every organization, irrespective of the size and scale, would have to be doing. So I would briefly divide benchmark into two. One is on the internal side and other is on the external side. If there are multiple teams, then the internal benchmarking becomes much easier and much simpler. However, if you don't have much teams, then your past performances and your current performances or whatever was much appreciated by the client, then that becomes a basis or your benchmarking template for you to always keep rolling back. On the external side, I think we all somehow live in a very small world. And even though they could be your competitors, but competitors are still your peers in some way or the other. Building a healthy relationship amongst your competitors, amongst the other service providers in your industry will help you to kind of identify what actually works well, what doesn't work well. And at any given point in time, the best person to judge or to benchmark you is going to be your client. So doing an unbiased and a very, very thorough review of clients' feedback would be a good benchmarking tool.
Thank you, Girinath and Ankit. And, we have 1 minute left. So one quick question from the audience. Is that, Girinath, you had said that we have to be ready with solutions for future problems.
Yeah.
How do you deal with problems that are unforeseen? And just seconds for this, please.
Ankit, were you able to hear the question well? Or is it a lag at my side?
No, I could only hear that.
I'll repeat the question.
Yeah, please.
I'll repeat the question that you said that we have to be ready with solutions for future problems. How do you deal with unforeseen problems?
Okay.
And 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, sure. So two things. Future problems are never are going to originate in the future. They would be propping up somewhere in the present. And your answer to any kind of a future problem should be on kind of a yes or no analysis of your existing process. If your existing processes are meticulously drafted to ensure they are foolproof, then the possibilities of future problem can be avoided today and not letting it to the whims and fancies of whatever is the outcome in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Girinath, and thank you, Ankit. very enlightening session on various aspects of operational excellence in the United States. So thank you for sparing your time and thank you for these deep insights into this aspect. Thanks a lot. And we have with us now CA Piyush Chhajar. Welcome, sir, and thanks for joining. I know that you have a flight coming up shortly, so deeply appreciate your sparing time for this talk.
Thank you, Maitri.
And by way of introduction to our audience, I'm sure they all know you already, sir, but Mr. Piyush Chhajar is a member of the Central Council of the ICAI, and he served his first term from 2022 to 25 and second term from 2025 to 29. And within the ICAI, he has served in 3 pivotal standing committees: Executive Committee, Examination and Finance, showcasing his multifaceted understanding of the profession. He's currently chairman of the Direct Tax Committee and vice chairman of the Expert Advisory Committee. He was a member of the working committee for ASEA and Asian Federation of Accountants, and he's currently a technical advisor on the International Auditing and Accounting Standards Board, member of the committee to study fiscal regimes and other statutory requirements of business in SAARC countries of South Asian Federation of Accountants. And his contributions extend to the RBI, where he's held a key role as a member of the External Advisory Committee for Asset Reconstruction Company. He brings 25 years of extensive expertise. He's a senior partner at Messrs. Chhajar and Doshi Chartered Accountants, and based out of Mumbai, of course. And his educational background is a bachelor's degree in commerce from Narsi Monji College of Commerce and Economics in Mumbai. He also holds a diploma in Information Systems Audit, the DISA. And he's an absolute expert in tax litigation and advisory. So we are very, very honored to have you here. And thanks for sparing time, as I said. So without much ado, I'll hand over to you for speaking to our audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maitriji. Very good evening to all of you. Good morning for the people who have joined from US. Good afternoon, because I know people have joined from different timelines. So thank you very much, Maitriji, for your introduction. Wonderful. Pravinji, who is our former chairman of our Washington chapter. Thank you very much, Pravinji. In fact, I should thank you on behalf of ICAI for being a speaker to this August session and for this wonderful initiative which has been undertaken by Development of International Trade Services and WTO, directed under the leadership of Abhayji. I also recognize Anandji, who is also one of the speakers who has already joined. And I was just listening to earlier speakers, Ankit and who has done a very wonderful, I could hear them for the last 10-15 minutes. But it's a very important topic, I do know, and a very important initiative also. When I talk about the theme, which is navigating global opportunities, obviously, it takes back to me to our ICI motto song, which was changed 2 years back. And if somebody has actually re-looked into it, the eagle, which we say Garuda, is now flying across the globe. So what the message that motto song is saying, that the chartered accountants from India are no more limited to opportunities in India. Their opportunities are across the borders. They are experts. They have their expertise. But obviously, we need to discuss, understand what further expertise can be developed in this particular area, how they can navigate those global opportunities and serve the global clienteles across the world, obviously. This topic today on emerging America and roadmap for accounting professionals is very great. And I know this whole program is going on for the 7 days, and that is navigating global opportunities. We are collectively exploring how chartered accountants can broaden their horizons, contribute more meaningfully to the dynamic global economy. I believe in the first session of today's, in day 3, which we call the session number 5th, there was a discussion which was happening on enhancing operational excellence in developed America, which would have focused on benchmarks of efficiency, governance, and innovations that characterize the US and other advanced countries. But obviously, even if you compare it to India today, these are the 3 important benchmarks even today in the India, which is like any other developed country or developing country. But a very important theme of this particular session, which we are calling session 6, is navigating success in emerging America, a roadmap for professional chartered accountants, I would say. But obviously, as we are called accounting professions, is very timely and relevant topic to be discussed. I know Indian chartered accountants are not just about entry. It's not a roadmap only to enter the new market. What I understand is to become a trusted partners in a journey of any particular country to reform and development. Like we always say in India, we are the partners in nation building. So obviously, any chartered accountant would like to be part of those journey of reform and development for any particular country. And our strengths of the Indian chartered accountants has always been ethics, governance, financial reporting, adaptability. I would say adaptation, nature of adaptability plays a very crucial role in supporting business, governments, institutions. We have to keep two important minds for the audience, I believe. First is to recognize and understand the vast professional opportunities which are emerging economies of the America, which include sustainability, areas of sustainability, maybe ESG assurance, taxations, cross-border investments, and advisory services. Secondly, we'll also have to prepare ourselves proactively by reskilling, upskilling, learning, relearning, embracing technologies, AIs, everything, whereby we are able to provide services in these particular areas. And I'm sure today's speakers would be looking into it. This roadmap, I believe, today's discussion will not be only in respect of professional success, which any chartered accountant can create, but it's creating a long-term sustainable and inclusive impact for the country wherever you want to provide service. It is about ensuring that the brand of ICAI continues to stand globally as a beacon of trust, competence, and the value creations which chartered accountants are known for that. I'm confident that today's discussion provide deep insights, especially with the two renowned speakers been moderated by Maitriji. I'm sure it will provide deep insights, practical perspectives, or maybe actionable takeaways of the people who are looking forward to expand their professional footprints in the horizons wherein they have not been able to do. So I think so. My request to all the participants who are listening today, do look into it, do think over it, what's happening, what's been discussing, be concentrated, I'm sure, and embrace this opportunity. This is a wonderful opportunity which I believe, and I would compliment the whole team of our committee and directorate who has organized this global week. So please do embrace this opportunity. So you are able to chart new pathways, strengthen India's global presence, and truly embody the spirit of navigating global opportunities. Of course, there's a lot of disturbance which is happening in today's time. People are discussing whether the Indian professionals would be absorbed in American economy or not. What will be, of course, time will tell that. But it's not, I'm sure what is going to be discussed is whether you have been absorbed over there or not. But I'm sure the services, the accounting services, professional services will be always sourced from India. Where you are based is irrespective. And that's why we have been discussing, the institute has also been discussing on GCC very largely, Global Capability Center. So irrespective of where you are based, we will continue to provide services into any particular economy. Of course, uh, I'm sure it would be discussed over a period of this particular 7 days that whether the Indian chartered accountants need to also scale up on the educational foundations. Of course, we are chartered accountants, but any further degrees or the professional education can help. I think so. That would be my request if somebody can throw up light during the period also. Any other professional certifications which will help them technically in undertaking the services which is expected by these global jurisdictions. And whether if really they want to excel in this fields, whether they should actually at the earlier stage also look into joining or working in these foreign jurisdictions or working along with maybe 3 years or 4 years with the companies established in India who is providing the services in this foreign jurisdiction and then actually venture into it. It could be one of them which will help them in the skill development. And also it will help them in taking it further, all the areas of the profession which I was discussing. This, of course, not taking much of time, as rightly said by Maitri, I'm actually in midst of, I'm at the airport, in fact, again, and I have to take a flight early to Mumbai. But I'm sure today's speakers would be discussing. So I've just tried to pose certain 3 or 4 questions in the advance itself, that whether educational upgradation should happen or the previous experience would help in certain entities wherein professional services are being provided in this area. So with this, of course, my compliments and I wish all the best to Praveenji and Anand for their session for next 1 hour, I believe. Thank you, Maitriji. Thank you once again. Over to you, Maitriji.
Thank you, Piyushji. The eagle embracing the globe is really symbolic of what we are discussing today. So thanks for bringing that up and for leaving the questions on whether further education is required, things like that. I'm sure the discussion is going to be very interesting based on, the seeds that you've laid in your opening address. So thanks a lot and safe travels to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
With that, I would like to welcome our speakers for today. We are now entering session number 6 of this week, which is Navigating Success in Emerging America, a roadmap for accounting professionals. Our speakers are CA Praveen Jain, who I introduced earlier, and I will briefly touch upon his introduction once again, and CA Anant Govande. CA Anant Govande is a chartered accountant and, of course, eminent chartered accountant, a rank holder in both inter and final of our institute. He's also a cost accountant and a company secretary, completed his graduation in commerce from Pune University, and has done also a management training program at Leeds University Business School at UK under the British Council Scholarship. Since the year 2006, he's been the co-founder and director of Offshore Accounting and Taxation Services, which is, as an acronym, stands OATS, OATS. And since 2009 has been a consultant in financial consolidation and reporting. He's earlier worked as finance director at Geometric Software and worked with Thermax Limited as well in various divisions. He served our institute as part of the managing committee of the Pune branch in the year 2010 to 12, and has been a faculty member on topics such as Ind AS, IFRS, knowledge worker productivity, taxation, etc., in various seminars, training programs, and workshops. He's published a number of articles in the Economic Times, the Chartered Accountant Journal, on various relevant topics, and has co-authored an ebook on data analytics published by the WIRC of the ICAI. So welcome, CA Anant Govande. And I'd also like to welcome once again CA Praveen Jain, who is, like I mentioned earlier, the founder, vice chairman, and former chairman of the ICAI Washington DC chapter of our institute. He's also the co-founder of the Seva Group, Seva Limited Certified Public Accountants, Columbia, and the president of eTax Corporation. He employs a number of chartered accountants in Ajmer, India, and he is an IRS acceptance agent in India authorized to assist individuals in obtaining taxpayer identification numbers, ensuring compliance with IRS regulations, and has a strong background in cross-border tax planning. And he provides valuable insights to businesses and individuals navigating US and India tax complexities. So I'm sure there is a lot of rich knowledge that we as an audience stand to gain from having you, sir, Praveenji and Anandji with us today. I would encourage the audience to share as many questions as they have. It's a rare opportunity to have such distinguished speakers as we have today. So we have about an hour and 10 minutes with the two of you. So I'll hand over to you both. Again, with a note to the audience to share all their questions for you.
Yeah. Thank you, Maitri. Thank you, Piyushji and the ICAI officials. This is a wonderful opportunity to provide you the insight, experience, what I have. And along with the Anandji, we are very co-speakers. Maybe we are giving this 6th or 7th with the WIRC Surat branch, ICAI also. So we will give jointly, and I'll give my perspective from the US side, and Anant will give from his experience how he's running the completely a company which every chartered accountant has a wish sitting in the India. That how they can run, what is the difficulties, and he has a very vast experience, what the challenges he's getting from the US clients and other part of the world. So it's a good chance. And Anandji, can you take over now?
Yeah. So thanks, Praveenji. I first of all thank the Institute for organizing such a very relevant and topical webinar. Thank you, Mr. CA Piyush Chhajarji. Thanks, Maitreyi, for the very kind introductions. In the interest of time, since last time, we could not take many questions, what we plan to do is make a common presentation So this is about navigating success in emerging America. So it's a very nice topic because we always hear about emerging India, emerging markets. The first time I'm hearing emerging America, so that made us think that, can America emerge? So that is a very relevant topic. So what we'll be doing is we have a single presentation. We'll alternate, topics which are more relevant from Pravinji's perspective. We will talk about. I'll talk about some of them. On some we'll talk together. Maybe we'll try to wrap up the presentation in about half an hour, and we'll leave about 20-25 minutes for question and answers. So we'll cover what is emerging America. So it's really a nice topic. Geopolitical and trade context. It is the elephant in the room. Nobody can wish it away. The seminar which we had last year, if you go to YouTube and look at that, and what we are having here today, there's a sea change, and we'll discuss about that. There's no point wishing it away. But the fundamentals remain the same. Why US clients outsource? What are the commonly outsourced services? What they expect, and what are the red flags to avoid? Two perspectives Pravinji will give from Indian CA, now a CPA based in USA, and I'll give from Indian CA who's in India. What are the engagement models with US clients? How to win and retain clients? Again, this is just some insights that we have got. And finally, conclusion and roadmap. So it's a small presentation, and we welcome questions and discussion rather than, because if you Google all of this, you will get thousands of pages on each of these points. So we really want to discuss and answer any questions that you may have. So I'll cover quickly the background and then hand over to Mr. Praveen. So emerging America, in our view, is basically the high growth US regions and SMEs. So while America itself is an advanced nation, all American states and all American enterprises are not growing at the same rate. And if you are able to differentiate between them and go after the emerging ones, that can give us some more leverage. What is the relevance for us as chartered accountants? And what are the two perspectives from from Pravinji and my perspective? Yeah, so over to you, Pravinji.
Yeah, so as you know that the America has a very vast country, like 50 states. It's 3 times in area, and due to the tax and due to the political scenario, like companies moving from California to Texas, so its growth depending on the each area, and it suddenly change as we speak. Last maybe 5 or 6 months, the whole all ecosystem of the world, and particularly India US corridor. The main issue I would like to address here, this like the low 5-year low stock price of the big outsourcing company of the tech happened. So what is the reason of that? So basically, the political efforts is going on, instead of going to give the work to the outsourcing, but they are trying to do more on GCC. So we need a lot of chartered accountant and people to grab the opportunity to join the US company having an office in India. So earlier, US companies outsourcing their work. Now the political force, or maybe time being, or we don't know, but things are changing very fast. So as the tariffs started, so whole economics and then business activities is changing very fast. Like last 3-4 months, and the last 1 month, I have a very big pressure to form Indian entrepreneurs or Indian manufacturing people to have a company in United States to avoid the middleman of the importers. So all you can Punjab, Haryana, and many other South Indians manufacturing units, they are exporting last maybe 10-15 years very nicely. They are forcing to have their own company to reduce the margin, the challenges they get from the tariff. So it's a need of hour where US companies, buyers, they are forcing Indian suppliers to just open a company here, remove the middlemen. So that's things going on. Second, that's why all the pressure is going on, say, like big companies in United States to just go, not to outsource to, or not to bring the people here in H1B, and that sentiments is going on. So it's like the emerging market. We can say that in United States, suddenly the chartered accountants are last 5, 7 years for they came here on education and other things. So based on that, what these are the recent development. We can say that compliance is surging. All technology is in building. Not only they are helping to the professionals, but they are also helping to the user and also the government. So now the government is officials also has the AI. Earlier they are not hardworking or any reason they don't want to learn many things, but it's very simple. And government is also forcing them to use the AI and other technology which is available. And IRS is also modernizing, like $60 billion they have given. So it's become very difficult. They are asking the audit trail, they are asking the software to check the audit trail. So the old system where people can change back entry, but that everything is gone. Nothing is possible. International, the data is sharing. So it's very changing environment. So all we as a chartered accountant can take that responsibility and use this benefit and to grab the changing environment. That's my what I'm foresee. Same way that immigration and tightening outsourcing is the main. I just mentioned that many they put certain formula. It's not like it's already very in marketing gimmicks. So many reels comes in India. So avoid that. Just to be focused. Wait for some times. The what is the H1B law change? From the Ajmer, I already brought people from in H1B here, and both are chartered accountants, and I'm planning to bring more. There is a restriction, but this restriction you can say it, but I feel that it's not a restriction. It's a follow the law. The some part of the India has messed up with the H1B. They misused, and everything goes that to the government, and now everything is very much transparent. So the government is trying to and implementing the law. So, and that's not a bad idea. That should be even implemented in India also. So that's the thing. This H1B and L1B will continue because United States is based on the immigrant. They last 300 years, 400 years. They are running the country based on the immigrants. So no one can, the US cannot be work without the new talent, new immigrant people in on board in here. So not only they trying to scale on site, but they are trying to more and more rely on the Indians or offshore other people. But Indian chartered accountant should must make sure that they are learned from the competition that India is not the only country which US can get the data or what is support, but they have Philippines, Pakistan, Bangladesh, all the Brazil, South America. They have a time advantage, but we have also time advantage. So it's a basically the US, we as a competitive, we have to learn what is required. Same way the Hire Act, which is putting the 25% on the foreign outsourcing. So basically, this is also I'm telling you this: the work cannot be go the outsourcing or the offshore development or their own captive unit will work, but structuring dynamics is changing. The US company is coming there, like I understand, last in 5 years, 100 top 100 CPA firms having office out of that, maybe right now is 510. Big Four is always there for last 20 years. Now the top 100 CPA firms out of that, every year in 2 3 months, 6 months, they are incorporating in India and they have their own captive units. So this excise duty will change something, but they are not addressing right now that the captive unit, if they will get the work for their own, like the Wells Fargo, a very big one of the bank in United States, they have 30,000 people in Hyderabad. Nobody knows that. We have at least 2 3 thousand chartered accountants working there. So this is a time. This is a need of ours. So one should understand this is a very important area, and this is a challenge with that they're trying to put the duty on offshore outsourcing work, as well as they also put they are this expense is not allowed to the US companies who is getting the outsource. So the dynamic is changing very fast, but
So far, one always thought that, tariffs are only on goods. In India, we call custom duty, and nobody had thought of custom duty on services. Of course, we do have some reverse charge on GST mechanism for services. But in US, recently, as recent as 2 days ago, they added this duty on films which are streamed digitally. So that opens up a Pandora's box, because all the services that we deliver from here are digital services in a way, because we are not physically traveling there. And if that happens, and if duty is imposed on them, and then if it's not allowed as deduction, that can reduce the cost advantage. Typically, US companies get 40-50% cost advantage. If 25% of that goes away, then they will look for that much more value creation.
yeah, and also, but again, we should understand that the cost saving is not the only reason to get the work done from India or other countries. Basically, the challenge is the skilled talent. Same thing in India, the skilled talent is the demand of supply is tremendous difference. So basically, I'm facing last 11 years. I train people and they just go away. Poaching is there. I have seen like Big Four among they hired here, then they go there, and even recently one CPA firm 100% almost 100% staff is taken by another CPA firm who just started. So this is going on. So basically, I request many young chartered accountants, they should get into to start a training center where they can have a soft skill development. Different countries culture they have to train. The recently the uh, chartered accountants are learning the Japanese and then German. So basically, you have because, and we as a chartered accountant are really, we should all proud of it, that we are very hardworking, very talented people, and that is not available. Like CPA, I can give every chartered accountant a guarantee that you want to become, you pass the CPA examination, it's piece of cake for you. If you are a chartered accountant, you will pass in 6 months to 1 year. So that's the standard you can understand from that point of view. So the skill talent is missing. Here, baby boomer are retiring. That's why many Indian companies just buying and buying the CPA firms from the
Yeah, that's a
retiring
trend we
people.
have observed, that many Indian chartered accountants are buying CPA firms there, and that is something which is it can give you a good foothold. There's an existing client list, and if the existing CPA wants to retire, there's a good continuity there. So that's a novel way of entering the market.
Yeah, but what I saw in this process, that they can't get confident. A chartered accountant in India, they don't want to spend money. They have still their own thought. Even even I came in this country 2000, and then many people suggested to buy, why don't you buy a CPA firm here and start to and become growth, you can do the inorganic growth. But being a Marwadi, being a Ajmer, being a Bombay experience, I should waste money on this just buying. And ultimately in 2020, I bought another CPA firm. Then I realized, oh, this is my biggest mistake in my life, that when I moved to this country, I have not bought this CPA firm. I might have a 10 times more on my current situation. So this is a very big requirement, and I see silver spoon young chartered accountants who their parents are or grandparents are chartered accountant, why they are not ready to invest in this such noble opportunity. Yeah, Anand.
Right. Another reason why we have seen our clients outsource is the time zone advantage, that everybody knows that there's almost 9 to 12 hours difference. So when they stop working there, India can take over and complete the work. Personally, I'm not much in favor of these night shifts in India, which shadow this daytime in US, because that messes up with sleep and our health. So we don't have any night shift in our company. But of course, it's a valuable work. So I'm not belittling it, or I'm not saying it is bad per se, but personally, I don't like it. But we have been able to get customers, who appreciate this time zone. They just need maybe a couple of hours of overlap, maybe once or twice a week for coordination and follow-ups. But other than that, it can really work in our favor, because since this 12 hours really gives a good kind of leeway. Scalability and flexibility, because as Praveerji mentioned, there's a huge demand, especially in tax seasons, and there's a shortage of talent. So if you can scale up for this period, and then in other periods, if they can be deployed at some other projects, that can really give them a good cost benefit. And they, of course, want to focus on core business. So
Yeah, same for us also. We never allowed to work in the like night shift.
correct.
We as a seva also just Indian time work should be Indian people should work in the Indian time, and
Right.
US people should work in the US time. But certainly for coordination and some, we can have a half an hour, 1 hour in the morning, early morning or late evening in India. That's we are doing. Yeah, so that's your Anand, that's your whole thing except areas 10, 20 and 10, 40.
Yeah.
These.
So I think at the core, this bookkeeping and accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll. So these are basically transaction processing activities. Uh, they can be very much done offline in India. It doesn't need any voice support or any online activity. And with the advent of RPA, and now with AI and automation and various API-based integrations, uh, the scale can really increase there. As Praveenji mentioned, entity setup in USA. So it's good to refer to people who are experienced, and they can provide good overview to the customers. Uh, I will cover this audit support reconciliations, which we are doing for many customers. Preparing our audit schedules. There are tools like Blackline, or sometimes simple Excel-based supporting requirements. Compliance tracking. So while the local CPA takes care of all the filings and everything, doing that from India, again, in my personal view, is a bit risky, because laws keep changing, like in all countries. So while one can have an overview, and you can have local CPAs here, it's best done by the local tax expert. So you can do the preparation, and the filing can be done locally. Praveen, you can cover the other areas
Yeah,
you mentioned.
so basically the entity setup, I tell you, the our teacher Google and ChatGPT is helping to set up a company, but I found 95% entrepreneurs they did mistake, and that is the and many chartered accountants, I'm sorry to say that they never guide their client to tell that when you are setting up a offshore uh, company, then you need to follow the FEMA and RBI rules, banking rules, and they never guide their clients, and the client also just form a company through credit card, and then the whole compounding, and the RBI is closing their company. So this is a very emerging opportunity available to across the India. All chartered accountants, they get into in this FEMA and Black Money Act, and then it's a $400 they use in the credit card, some expenses, and now facing the 10 lakh rupees penalty for 4 years. It's like the ridiculous situation I have seen, that people, the chartered accountants, are looks like they are not doing their job
Many
basically.
times these customers, again, I have seen this firsthand, that customers, they are entrepreneurs and they have their own network in US. And somebody says, why are you wasting time? Just, do this online. There's a link. Just swipe your card. But like Pravinji said, it's very risky. You need to have foreign investment compliance. And in US, you can form a company without capital. Now, that is something which is unheard of in India. We don't allow a company to get commencement of business unless there's a capital. US, you can just keep it open-ended. But when it comes finally, when you are doing the India books, suddenly you find there's some expense claim, and they say, no, no, this is actually company formation, and now it's a subsidiary and all of that. So I think we have to be careful in India and guide these people that go through a proper expert and avoid all these subsequent regrets. Compounding, etc., becomes a public knowledge. So if you go to RBI website and read the compounding documents, these are like they are like thriller stories. What kind of mistakes people do, and how
Yeah,
much
even
they
IAS,
pay.
you will find IAS name there.
Yeah, yeah. So very not good to have your name in the RBI's compounding list, because they are all like legal proceedings. So just like your case gets reported in ITR or wherever, they get reported there. So it makes very interesting reading, by the way. So what US
Yeah.
clients expect from our perspective, obviously, US client is no different than any other Indian client. So I'm sure Indian client also will want that. But US, they are more structured. So they want accuracy, compliance. You need to have that SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance and alignment with, the tech stack which they have. Praveen, you could explain about these other parts.
So again, the accuracy and compliance is very key factor, and the regulation and the law implementation in US is very strict. So that's why here CPA firms are saleable. Not in India. I have not seen except one or two exception where CA firms are sold, or even the wife of a sadly, unfortunately, demise of a chartered accountants getting some uh, like the
Goodwill.
whole asset of the CA. But in United States, if something is happened to me, automatically my all partners, or they have to pay to my wife or my beneficiaries. So that's the law here, and that we should expect from the institute also to make more implementation, and we also have some government intervention. They are trying to make a global Indian-based CA firm as a multinational like a Big Four. But unfortunately, only the one piece I missing in that is the regulation of Indian. I am afraid to do anything in India because the law is so uh, implementation is a so, or the case law or court things is so bad that if anything has happened, they will drag to 10 years, 15 years. Nobody has that time. If the government or the institute create some environment where in 3 months the decision will happen in favor of here or there, that then things can be, people can trust. So the trust issue can is a very big challenge. And the timely communication, the chalta theory in India, just to chala do, everyone is telling marketing like, oh, we have a lot very big office, and like just they are sitting ideal right now, and if they will give to the American, oh, you give the work and you will get the 100% execution without any problem. So that whatever you say, the commitment is the uh, asset that you have to learn. And technology is changing so fast It's amazing. Like I have a 6, 7 client startup. They got millions of dollars, the funding, and suddenly then the Chat GPT 4 come, the 4, 6 startup is just vanished because they what they are building is that already is there came. So that also very challenging. So we understand those complexities. Yeah,
So the mirror image of what client expect is what we should avoid. Again, not really very specific to US, but like Pravinji said, errors in compliance can have bigger consequence there. So you have to be careful. Gap, knowledge gap. So slight play on words there. So of course, with IFRS and Ind AS coming into play, there are very few areas of divergence between US gap and India, but one should be aware of what they are and take care of that. Over promising vague deliverables. So I can do anything. So as a individual, I might, but is my team ready and can I really deliver? So it's better to be very crystal clear, have proper negotiation, understand the timelines, and then only commit for that. Weak communication, sometimes there's the issue of these accents and the way we write. Of course, now Chat GPT and this Gemini have really improved the communication. I have seen that dramatic change in last 6 months. But it has now become very verbose. So earlier, what a person would have written in 2 or 3 sentences, now you get a 2 paragraph big mail. So one tends to ignore that. So one should judiciously use these tools and communicate in a very crisp manner. And data security, which we touched upon earlier.
Yeah, here I would like to add that the data security, the recent episode of the Tata Jaguar things in UK, they hacked their whole system. I think 1.5 months, their factories closed because they are not paying to the who had that they demanded. So it's a very, very important and it's very afraid situation where our all financial assets, stock, everything is in the cloud. And then if something has happened, we don't have anything to prove that I have $100,000 in my bank account. Or so it's a very challenging, and one should understand this also very seriously when they want to run the business or implement US or other countries work. Yeah, Anand.
India, as he mentioned, he's been there for now 25 years. So the perspective that you would want to put on.
Yeah, I have already
So most of it you have covered.
most of the I told. And the biggest challenge I saw in Indian CA is that because engineers, doctor, they have to work in the team, but CA is not required by nature, by things. Now things are moving. Our Prime Minister of India is forcing to make a big company, then people are changing their perspective. Else everyone wants to, or maybe I have seen like people, 2 partners, 3 partners, after 20 years they are breaking. So one should learn we have a very good history of the joint family, joint working. Those values we should implement and learn how to do the teamwork, and then miracle can be happen. But
scale will come only in
unfortunately,
a team. It can't be as an individual. So
yeah, nothing, you can't do these things, and you have to trust and give the value of others. The what I see the problem Indian mentality is that they just think like the big episode of the Indigo Airlines, the American and the Indian entrepreneur become a joint and make a miracles. They both are billionaires, 64455 billion dollar billionaire. But again, the Indian entrepreneur is did like their whole all solo, nine director become one and one. So then he sold, but he has not thought that the Indigo can buy one another American, one of the, like ultimately one of the promoter is buying from that same money from the Indigo, and he is buying the Southwest in United States. So they can be a merge, Indian company and US airlines both can be run. So from here one city to America to go to the US city. So that can be happened, but the short-sightedness and the Indian mentality is we have to change it.
Absolutely. So again, I also covered most of these points, so I'll not just read out again, but primarily we can now focus more on analytics, which can be more value added, give some insights. Compliance is given, it is like entry ticket to the table. So we have to go on more value added chains. Master the US gap, at least be aware of that. Cloud AI and automation is very much there. And we have to avoid getting, the getting labeled as just like a job outsourcing or just doing low key activities. We should position ourselves and also create and add value so that, we are able to properly claim the rewards for those value creation. Again, we covered most of this. Typically, the growth path for an Indian chartered accountant team can be like, they can focus on one particular area, like SaaS providers in US, or there are a lot of engineering firms in the Midwest. In the East Coast, there are a lot of medical, this pharma and other entities. So you can focus on one of those verticals rather than trying to do, several small things. Then grow into a GCC or a KPO. So one small example, again, I will not claim we have very, huge experience in this, but one of the live examples that we had about 6 years ago, one Chicago-based SaaS software company outsourced certain work to us. We actually started by doing the accounting and payroll and other activities for the India entity. And as we interacted with the US leadership more, it became possible that, they outsourced certain activities to us, starting with expense processing, then accounts payable and various other activities. Over a period, the team grew, and finally, their CFO presented to the board, and they actually decided to set up a GCC in Bangalore. And our team actually moved into there. Of course, we lost the customer. Of course, we are still in touch, but that's the way it is possible. You can do some kind of a BOT. You can build a team and then transition it out to them, or build a knowledge process or a KPO. So that is a growth path which is available. Engagement models, again, I'll wrap up. We are, I think, almost more than half an hour we have covered for the PPT. You can be an outsourced service provider, but with all these tariffs and various new ideas coming up, GCC, which is a prime driver for this captive providers, so if they get exemption because it's the own company, it's like, your own arm, so they will not, if some such interpretation is done, GCCs will have a upper hand in, if they don't get taxed with this excise. As I mentioned, there can be a BOT model, and again, we'll not go into detailed case studies, but all of them are possible. You can do AP outsourcing, payroll. There's a Pune-based firm which has really grown extensively doing payroll processing for global customers, and that's one of the very useful examples. Several BOT transitions are there. So, anything you would want to add here, Praveenji?
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. Like one Jaipur company is doing the fund accounting. They are expert. They are dominating the US. And there are other companies are there, very specialized. So one thing also I would like to address here, that one should become a very expert in one area. You can't do everything. So become an expert in one particular. Maybe you can learn the QuickBooks online. Just become expert in QuickBooks online, and then there are millions customers in United States, and you can get that. But you have to be focused. You have to be patient. You have to work hard for many years. Then only you can become expert. So again, the partnership is very needed. Without that, it's very tough. Both the country has a certain rules and unique requirement of that, which it's very difficult to just foresee from living in different country. You have to get into that shoes and live there. Then you only understand. US, you can come, go, and even 5 visit, 6 visit it will not give you the actual perspective of the US like power. And you have to live here for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, then you will figure out what is the difference, how the system works here. So that is the thing. Like still, US is a very large scale, like India, and GDP is a $4-5 trillion, and here is the one company valuation is a $4-5 trillion. So this scale, nobody can imagine how the big setup, big company, and how they developed and how it takes time to reach there. So that's the thing.
I think
So
some of the competencies we covered this earlier, so again I'll not repeat. So I think it's the mindset which has to go from compliance to strategy. Of course, you have to start with actual transaction processing, graduate to data analytics, but then go to strategy. So you don't end up just being a clerical resource outsourcing. Trust building and transparency are very critical. So the final slide. Any final thoughts, Praveen?
yeah, basically, I've seen that people, due to this last 3-4 months environment, people are buying not only the us as a accountant, but like chemical industry people, they are buying the factory here. The many textile industries, they want to start the processing in here also. So the chartered accountants, if they get into this detail, because the people, knowledgeable people is very short. We as a advisor also we can't take the work, because once we took the work, we have to deliver it, and we can't deliver because we have not resources available, not only for us, any of the company also. So basically that gap is there. One should have a patient, learn, and then can go there. So that's where the US based and India based two clear cut path. US are people are going India and they are learning Indian culture, and then Indian people are learning US culture. That will keep continue going on forever. And the trust, that's a key requirement, and we need a government support also to disposal of the cases.
I think the title
And
of this
then
webinar,
the
Emerging
accounting.
America, which was very relevant. So I hope we covered what are the emerging parts of America. How can India-based CA, like most of us are small and medium practitioners, I'm also one of them. So how we can leverage some of the opportunities. And Pravinji has shown us, how CA, who is also based there, can also, really leverage the entire opportunity which is possible. So we would hand over to Maitreyi for any question answers.
Anandji and Praveenji, thank you very much for the in-depth discussion. But most of all, I was very impressed by the coordination between the two of you, using a common presentation, talking from two different continents, and yet
Right.
talking in sync. It pretty much symbolizes what we are talking about today, where, an accounting team sits in the US, part of the team sits in India, and the two teams coordinate seamlessly. You actually displayed that and demonstrated that today. So thank you so much. I did want to appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll kick off. We have about 30 minutes or a little over 30 minutes for questions. I'll encourage the audience to ask as many as you have, because it's very rare that we get the opportunity to address questions to experts such as these that we have today. I do have one or two questions which I will begin with. There is someone who's asked that how do we reach out to relevant leads or businesses for the outsourced or offshore accounting? And what's the best method of doing this? Is it LinkedIn, in person, or becoming a member of an accounting, tax, or an audit association? How do you begin?
So in my 2 cents is that like they have to grab one area where they want to do that future services or whatever, so that they should take the first gain of that area, and then they start to publish their articleship, their knowledge, and then they can approach. Just approaching, just sending that every week I get 2 or 3 emails from the charter account. Hey, can you give me the work? And when I talk, they don't have anything which I can help them. It is impossible. So first, just thinking, oh, they come like the way they want to work, the way are working in India, they are making fool or something. This is, I also grew up in that environment. I don't know anything, but oh, I know, just give me the work, and then we figure out, and we are successful. But in India, the giver, like the client, is not feeling bad because he is in the such environment. But US, you do this thing, you are out. You can't get any work, and you just cut forever. You can't even talk. You can nothing. So that's mentality one should give. So, but first you have to decide what you want to do, then become that expert. Save like you did as 5 years in doing the CA and things. Just spend 2 3 hours, 2 3 years in the one area that is a needed, and then you start with the. Everyone has a now connection in United States. I think we all CAs. I can say that some relatives, some friends, relatives, some friend. So they can get the work, but no Americans, even Indians, are afraid to trust on Indian part because the liability is the US person who, if he refer something is come, then he is the responsible. Indian guys say, oh, I don't know, you can do whatever you want. That's mentality is not
So
acceptable.
sometimes
Yeah.
what happens is basically it's a chicken or egg, So maybe the person who asked this question, and again, all of us have gone through this. We are practitioners in India, so we know how to get the first customer. I think what Pravinji said is relevant. So one of the ways is that you showcase your actual achievements rather than just PPT. With ChatGPT, anybody can make a nice looking PPT now. So that skill is no more treated as a valuable skill. So what is relevant is many of these MNCs have Indian subsidiaries, and most chartered accountants are working, either as consultants. They do GST filing, they will do TDS, they will do payroll, they will do accounting. So they already have connects with these people. So rather than looking at it as a pure India-based assignment, again, I'm not saying that this will be possible for all companies, but at least it has worked for us in some cases. Is that if you gain visibility in front of the parent companies' teams, which sometimes they are very active in the Indian entities business management. If the global CFO and CEO come, you go and visit them. Don't say what am I going to do? I have this filing to do here. If you build that connect and if you showcase that, okay, you have done this here, these are your processes, and put the thought in their mind that, okay, can you then look at outsourcing maybe the accounts payable or employee expense reimbursement processing, which are very standard tasks, and then build from there. So that can give you an entry. Then you can say, okay, I have this US customer. You can say it truthfully, and then grow that from there. So I think that is one of the pathways which is very achievable for many of us here in India.
Yeah,
Thank you, Pravinji Anandji. One question. You said that the costs in India are 40 to 60% lower than the US costs. There are jurisdictions around the world, Philippines may be one of them, and Vietnam, you mentioned, Benji, which perhaps are lower. So to what extent does the decision to, outsource or near source, to what extent is it cost driven as against quality driven? As against expertise driven, as against the need for a center of excellence? Like, to what extent do these various motivations drive the need to outsource?
So from the US side, we need to get the work done. So only options what we have to explore that. So we can get the work done from the local to local skill peoples, or we have to go some outside. So slowly, the Indians has a very good environment here, many reputation, because many times Americans people ask me, why Indians are so smart? Everyone is asking like suddenly. Then I told them like, how many Americans is a genius? So they tell that, oh, 1% or 2%. I just asked like, oh yeah, 1%. So just I tell that 1.4 billion people what is the 1%? So among those lot people, most of the people are here. So that's the answer for you why they are smart, because if वो माँ का बेटा है या पूरा पढ़ने वाला है तो वही यहाँ आ सकता है वो, yeah, he's a to take the risk, and he's joined a University of United States, then he came. So that's the answer, basically, your question. But connection is the main thing, key drives, and the companies who are working from other across the world, and they are working very hard. Many companies from the Philippines, Indonesia, the Brazil, and South America's other countries, and Pakistan is also heavy, doing very good in certain extent. So politically things are there, but nobody cares about the political. They just want to get the work done.
And Praveerji, with brand ambassadors such as you who are rooting for our cause over there and talking about the 1% over there is what helps our cause as well. Another question for you. You very humbly said that you're a small and medium-sized firm, but that's the kind of small that a lot of people aspire for. The kind of where you built your firm to. So, with your experience, and there's a question from the auditor asking that from the audience asking that we're a small-scale CA firm from a tier 2 city in India. So, how do we get some initial outsourcing work from a CPA firm in USA? And I'd like you to share your experience. And I know you said you met the global CEOs, CFOs when they visit India. But what was your experience, and how did it begin? What was the starting of the story of ATS?
Thanks. So again, I have slightly different view here. So we did work with some CPA firms from USA, but their expectation was, the rates that they were offering were, comparable to the Indian rates, which very much they know. They just Google and say, okay, this is the rate. And this tax work which Pravinji referred was very seasonal and high volume. And we didn't have, a compensating set of projects where we could occupy these people once the tax season is over. So after some time, we stopped doing that particular activity. So we focus on primarily looking at end customers and not the CPA firms as our customers. So as I said earlier, one way is to look at the Indian subsidiary and try to see if there's a possibility there. And referring customers is the biggest possible, source. So if you do a good work and, they have their own networks, and there are pockets like Pravinji mentioned that, California, Silicon Valley, and East Coast, there are certain pockets, this Boston, Cambridge, and all of that, Midwest, Chicago, and all these places. So there are tight networks of CFOs like we have here, we have study circle. So it's nothing but a gathering of people. So same thing happens there. So I think that mouth publicity is there. And there are some basic things like you must have a good website. If you go to website, it should load properly. There should be proper information. It should not be just copy paste of some generic text. So we have put our photos on the website. So we are not the best looking people, but that's how we are. So if the person sees that actually there are human beings who are running this, the trust level increases. I have seen many websites where it's all jazzy, but we don't know who's the person behind it. So sometimes that creates a kind of uncertainty that what is the actual firm looking like. So people can connect. So this relationship building, networking, having these basics like website, have some LinkedIn presence, have some blogs like Pravinji said. So all of that as a totality can enable. So none of them done in isolation can be straight away correlated. That okay, I wrote this blog and I got this customer. You never have that correlation. But if you do these 5, 6 things together, it will germinate and it will give rise to potential leads which can get converted.
Just what you want to show in your website or commit or show that what you can do, you should able to do 100% perfectly. So just give 4 items in your website that I'm doing this. most of the website is showing like they can do everything. That impossible.
Focus is
That's
important.
true.
So what not to do is equally important than what you can do. So that is always, there's a temptation that, okay, this is an inquiry, should I do this? So just see whether your team has that capability, and better to let go of it rather than making a mess of it.
Yeah, no, it's very frequent in United States to say no, but in India, I never heard about no. That's the biggest difference. 70 or 80% CPA firms are written in their website, we are not accepting new clients. Or most of the call I get, oh, are you taking a new client? That is the first question of most of the new clients. And then we have to answer, yes, I'm taking or I'm not taking. It's a weird, like in India, I never saw that. Yeah, Maitri.
So my next question, Praveerji, for you. You mentioned the 1099 DA for digital assets, the new form that's come out. Just a little bit more, some insight into that, in what manner it creates opportunities, and how our members who are listening into the call could perhaps tap those opportunities.
No, I think it's too early to comment anything on that till we really found the exactly what's going on. Right now, everyone is just throwing the law or ideas. So that we have to wait for some times, and then we can assess, and then we can find how this opportunity we can grab. So, but slow, like India is not allowing any like crypto or anything, but US is now forcing. So we don't know what's going to be happen in this. Just mentioned about the Tata episode. They were asking the ransom money in digital currency, but Tata refused as they have that their culture. So they suffered like 1.5 month or 2 months. They have stopped completely because they can't function. So that's a risk going on, and new things are emerging every time. That's a business. Otherwise, everyone can do the business. Business beauty is that like you don't know what is coming tomorrow.
So it's an area we'll watch out very keenly for, Praveenji.
Yeah.
Anand, question for you. Praveenji said when he spoke that trust is extremely important. You mentioned that as well. We see very often when outsourcing begins as a function, the Indian firm is viewed as a vendor to begin with. And then slowly you move up the value chain to, becoming a consultant, then eventually becoming a trusted partner. It's kind of a movement up a value chain as you build that trust. If you could share your experiences on how that trust building happens, what are some essential components you've witnessed, what are some pitfalls to avoid, and then I will take the same question to Praveenji on his expectations from the US end, what people expect in terms of deliverables, in terms of quality, in terms of communication, for to move up that value chain and become a trusted partner eventually, because that's I think it's a graded movement towards that.
Absolutely. And just a caveat that not every customer is worth spending that much effort and energy. So you should also have a kind of a evaluation that the time and energy that you're spending, it should also get properly appreciated, and that should get rewarded. So the critical thing is to focus and do only what you can do and your team has the capability, not over promise and under deliver, but under promise and over deliver. So if you're committed that you will give the reporting pack on second working day, it should just go on second working day. You should not say, no, we had Dashara second holiday October, so we cannot send. So you should maybe prepone it by one day or get it agreed that, okay, no, 2nd October I can't give, I'll give on 3rd October. It shouldn't come as a surprise. Again, this is a very trivial thing, but we have seen, things don't get communicated. People in US may or may not be aware that second is a bank holiday in India. So right from such basic communications to doing what you say, and not trying to do something which you can't do. And of course, visiting once in a while. So I have seen people, they don't want to travel because now after COVID, things have changed significantly. But still, if you go and meet people, see them in their environment, understand what they're looking for, that can really help in building these personal connections. Because finally, it's people who are doing business. It's not just some number or some statistic.
Yeah, so it's a continuous process. It's not a one-time job. You have to deliver whatever you committed continuously. So that's very hard. Looking to we are human beings. We can be sick. We can have some social issues or something. So that's why you need a ecosystem where you have a good team. If you no work is dependent on any one person. So that type of system you should build in your like work area or workflow or deliverable situation. So that's the key. And as far as I think only the trust and you to deliver as Anand says in better way 100% or 105%. That if you are doing that, then sky is the limit. We never spend a single dollar in any marketing because we are delivering our customers so fantastic and they are referring like crazy. And another example I tell you, like we have a data system which give us the like which client we should take, we should not take. And there are two aspects. One client is giving a lot of calls, lot of emails, lot of clarification, and sometimes it's good. They teach us. Sometimes it's just killing our time, and at that time also peak time. So that is the one issue we notice, and then we try to get away those of the clients. Second is people, particularly Indian, like my US staff always tell that you as much as you can take the US clients, that is always better because they treat them very nicely. They appreciate. Sometimes many clients put a thank you note with the $100 bill in that. That of time, like they are sending the like a fruit basket, sending the winery basket or cakes or amazing. And the other Indian clients, they are working very hard and ultimately, oh, you are charging more and then wasting our time. So this is a in like practical issues we have to deal with it. We are trying to develop things and then now we started to have full details how many calls you are doing. We are now putting the pressure to the client that you have to pay double or triple if you are coming in last 15 days. We will not able to do it, or you have to pay it. So that kind of systems we have to inbuilt and deal with this. So it's everyday challenges. Every day you have to change your things and be careful. You cannot become a BlackBerry or Nokia, and so that also you have to be keep in mind. You have to innovate.
So we have to keep evolving, but Anandji brought up also an important point that not every client is worth investing that time with.
Yes.
So that's a very important judgment-based call that will need to be taken on a case-to-case basis. Very valuable input there. We talked about the process part of it, where we need to keep strong processes, not be dependent on people. We spoke of people as well, hiring the best talent, keeping them upgraded. I think we should talk a little bit about the technology piece. The softwares that you mentioned, Praveenji, were, I think, one of the softwares that's being used is Great Plains. Some people use Oracle, so on and so forth. Can one service provider in India be expected to be conversant in all of them? Is there an expectation of that, or is there also an expectation that that the US side will be able to train the Indian side on new software aspects? So, what should somebody who's newly entering the market be prepared for? Should they master these softwares, or should they kind of get a working knowledge and expect some hand holding from their clients in the US? What is a reasonable expectation?
So, as a general comment, I would like to say that the software means we have three type of, I can break it in the three type of softwares. One is to prepare accounting, to prepare a tax return, to do all these things, then we need a software for that. So that's a QuickBooks, QBO is there, and other you mentioned, those are there. But the second type of software is your workflow, how to improve that. And the third is now remote things you are working. So we like my daughter is a IT person, and then she became a CPA, and then we founded this Seva Limited. So basically, she forced me to close the office in 2014. We are become a virtual CPA firm. We across the home, if somebody wants to do meeting with us, we deny that. No, no, we can't. Our policy is not to meet anyone. In 2014, people were crazy, like how they are running a CPA firm. But that helped us to build a practice across the globe because we don't want to meet anyone. That's a policy. So those kind of things. But again, when you do this take decision, then we have built so many things like a Google Drive we implemented, that time Slack we implemented, how to make things more robust and use the technology. And my just for example, my daughter asked me to give me a 3 months break. Why you need? Well, I'm become a crazy in 2018 that there are so many different tools we are using, and I need one particular things where they can communicate each other. And I told, okay, just go in the not it was not the peak time, but I have to take care of all her day-to-day's work. So I managed that, and then 3 months after she came, like I found this application, and we would like to implement and phase out all these pieces things. And we implemented that, and we are taking that tool. It's in our workflow. As I mentioned, that we have a now where we know that this tax return is how many minutes is taken to prepare this, by whom, on which time to which time. Everything is available now. So those kind of things we implemented since 2018. And then my son, who was Microsoft, and he also joined us, become a partner, that I'll make it to the second level. So in analogy that we are trying to do is how in the automobile industry is the Tesla become, same way we are trying to do in accounting industry, we should become a for so-called, but it's very hard. It's challenging. But we have to do it. That's the thing.
Yeah, with the availability of these cloud-based tools, it has become a great leveler. Earlier, you had to pay huge license fees for all these productivity tools, but now any small CA firm, even if you are just 4 people, you can get the best of tools and for a recurring subscription. So
Very cheap,
now
yeah.
there is no real bar, for a small firm not to have good technology. And
So the software is for the workflow, for the client communication, among the team communication, the security. It's humongous requirement. And fortunately, we have a good tech people. We are India is now becoming a very high regard for the UPI, the TDS, income tax returns, the data, and then the GST. Unbelievable. Nobody can even think across the world how mess they are. Like, unfortunately, till date, we don't have a TDS system. We just only the looks like not trusted people are the employees, because they have the withholding. All in United States, if you are an employee, your paycheck will withhold some kind of tax. But if you are businessman, you are good to go. You no withholding, and then you can go away. So that's going on, but now US is learning and they will implement TDS. TDS implemented in India in 90s, and now things are completely changed, and they are now started TCS. So things are changing in India very dramatically. And they are charging 1% or even 0.1% to get the data. So how beautiful as a government perspective you can think.
Anandji, for you, so you mentioned that your areas of specialization are bookkeeping, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, and things like that. With the advent of technology, many of these areas, perhaps will lend themselves to robotic process automation (RPA), and there would be newer areas. And in the session just before this, we talked of deeply analytical areas where companies are entering centers of excellence, things like that. So, where do you see the future going for the outsourcing? And I don't see a lot of people. I do see large multinationals, of course, having back office FP&A teams, for instance, having back office actuarial teams, having back office predictive analysis and things like that. But we don't see them in the mid-sized businesses and so on. So how do you see this playing out? Do you see more of these value-added services and high-end services which are deeply analytical coming to India and being opportunities, or what is your thought?
Yeah, so this technology advancement and automation is a reality, and we have seen it in our own experience. So we had one process, a small one, which there were about 6-8 people team which was doing some particular work, and then we automated it with RPA. It was about 2-3 years ago, and the team size reduced to 2 people. Luckily, we had other opportunities, so we could redeploy those people. But it's a reality, and we can't wish it away. But to some extent, it is also exaggerated. AI, etc., is all fine, but AI still cannot file your tax return. But it can really help you write some script, which can do. Let's say, Praveen, you mentioned about TDS. We have this 26As where your customer has deducted TDS and you have your ledger, and that 26As keeps on changing. So you can write a script where you can get it. Of course, you can buy a software and do that, but I'm just giving an example that now, without hiring an IT person, you can do it yourself and do such small automations that can very much help you in improving the productivity. I feel that this deep analytics and predictive modeling and mathematical trend lines, etc., there will always be particular set of customers who will need it, and I don't think that will ever become kind of a mass opportunity where everybody can just do that. So if you specialize in that, obviously that would be possible. But finally, people will have to be paid. Their travel expenses will have to be reimbursed. Customer invoices will have to be sent. And while automation will improve productivity and reduce the need for people, I think these services will still be required. So it is better that instead of getting extinct like a dinosaur, that okay, you didn't adapt, better to start learning, subscribe to ChatGPT and write these scripts, do this productivity analysis. So instead of hiring more people, maybe you can take up more customers without increasing people. In the long run, nobody knows, whether everything will be done by computers and all of us will just get checks from government for just, being born in the country, like a universal benefit, etc. That's too far away and we can't really think of it. At least next 5 to 6 years, I see that process outsourcing will be required. It will be heavily automated, and people like us who are actually, doing that should be aware that, this is something which we can't ignore. And rather than getting extinct by some robot, let us build that robot and let that robot help us improve productivity and get more customers.
True. And the nature of the talent that you hire accordingly will also keep
Absolutely, yes.
sort of changing and evolving over time. True, very true. Back to the topic, we talked of emerging America. And one of the areas you talked about was healthcare. So, Praveerji, healthcare has a lot of privacy issues, HIPAA compliance, and things like that. So, your advice to chartered accountants planning to enter this emerging area, and Anandji, your experience from handling those kind of clients. So, for both of you.
So this HIPAA compliance and now for accountant also for IRS compliance is required, the FCC compliance is required here. So it's going to be there for the data and security. And now the India is also forcing their data should be in India. Europe has already done. Now the US is also going to do this. So this is a part of life that we have to do the security, but the US has a different kind of data security as in the privacy things. Even my wife can't open my mail and the email, anything. If that's happened, that's a crime. So that kind of privacy is in this country. So you have to be very careful what you talk. And we also building right now the HIPAA is requirement is that if any patient data any patient can ask to the hospital or a service provider, the medical provider, that who access my data. They have to deliver that. So many like who has access and why they access. So really for my treatment, whosoever is needed, you are allowed. But one person like I was also working in the healthcare in the hospital in this John Hopkins, and near in the DC area, one of the first lady mother uh, admitted in the hospital, and then suddenly after 2 3 days, our IT team get this uh, letter that tell us who has seen this her data. We have to deal. So see, we have also started like any client can ask who has seen their data. So we are in building inside this thing also. Who is can accessing this data and what time they accessed and why they accessed. So in trying to control things also, so it's required everywhere in the system. Privacy and data security is a big challenge. That's why many this is say like, oh, $100 we will prepare the tax return. We can't, because our cost of keeping a client is more than $100. So that client should also understand why they are charging more, and you have to promise what you did, you have to deliver it.
I think this need-based access to data is very much relevant. One of the very, I would say, fundamental stance that you can take is, the best way to avoid any data breach or any kind of security lapse is if you don't store the data of the client in your domain at all. So you should ask the client to give your people secure IDs and just work in their systems only. So if you don't have data, then you cannot lose it, or nobody can hold you on ransom. It may not be possible for all customers. SMEs, they may not want to have all this. So then you need to have properly secure environment, access control, not having a common drive where everybody can access, but partition it, have virtual machines. Now in India, you get a lot of IT security support. So I think that is an investment you must make. We can't ignore it as something as an afterthought.
Sometimes in this case, we also like IRS requirement is that we have to keep the client data, how we prepare the tax return, maybe 7 years. So then we as a service provider, CPA, tax preparer, we also need that data in our control and securely for 7 years, because IRS can come and they ask many times like, hey, produce based on what document you have taken this position. And day by day, their tax system is in building. So that's why this I don't want to name the city or the area, but in India, it's a very nasty environment. Is that, oh, $30 you will get the return there, and $40 of US. There, everyone is on the tax preparer are there. So it's every every business people are there who has doing the breaking the systems, trying to make money in a different shortcut method. So that it's a very touchy and very difficult situation.
But people like you, Praveenji and Anandji, are inspiration of how far this can go, how we can, make sure that the cost as well as the services are well balanced, and how we can grow our
It's going to
businesses by
be,
providing quality out, by becoming trusted partners.
Thank you.
So much appreciate all the insights that you've shared on this. Thank you for spending your time educating all of us on these aspects, and thanks for all that you have shared.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maitri. Thank you,
I would like
everyone.
to invite. Thank you. I would like to invite Dr. Durgesh Pandey, who is our next panelist, and Dr. Durgesh, warm welcome to you. And Dr. Durgesh is going to give us an overview of forensic accounting and investigation standard. And I think there can be no one better than him to talk of this subject. He's a chartered accountant, a law graduate, and a PhD in forensic accounting from the National Forensic Sciences University of India. He's a CFE from ACFE USA, practices in the domain of forensic investigation and advisory of technology and implementation. He's an honorary professor in the University of Portsmouth, UK, and an author of the book Forensic Foresights, Case-Based Perspective on Forensic Accounting Standards, published by Taxman. So eminently qualified to talk about today's topic. And, he's conducted training for senior bureaucrats, IS officers, IPS officers, and so on investigation of financial crime in more than 35 countries. He's part of expert group for developing forensic accounting and investigation standards and implementation guides. We are deeply honored, Durgeshji, to have you on board today to share your insights on the topic. I know we have only 15 minutes, so I'll hand over to you for your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I always say that when a journey of 15 years is read in a minute, it always feels overwhelming. And I always get embarrassed listening to all the reading that is done from the resume. Nevertheless, as you said, we only have 15 minutes and I'll quickly share. So I wanted to speak without a presentation, but I understand, webinars get fatigued without presentations. So it's always important to have a hook, though I can speak on all the 20 standards without a slide, but I would like my audience to at least have something to ponder upon and something to lean upon. So I'll quickly share a presentation. I have 5 or 6 slides of the presentation. We'll discuss using one of these slides. So let us discuss, why do we need standards and what are the standards? Just these 2 points we'll be discussing, are the standards and why do we need the standards. We'll be discussing these two. I hope you can see my screen. So
yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So quick 4-5 slides of presentation. So the first, if we see, why standards? First of all, why ICAI has taken a pioneering step and a landmark step of developing the standard. So let me inform all the members and the viewers who are watching us that ICAI has been the first accounting body to come up with full set of accounting standards. I say this very responsibly when I say full set of accounting standards. Yes, there were the Canadian standards, there were the US standards and the Australian standards, which we researched upon before we developed our own. When I say we, I was part of the expert group. That is why sometimes I own this standard too much, which I should not. Of course, it's an intellectual property of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. But my attachment to the subject is so much that I use a collective pronoun we. Anyways, so we developed this full set of standards having seen the Canadian, Australian standards, those are very high level standards, probably 10 page, 15 page, 5 pages of standards. Whereas our standard cover the entire life cycle of an investigation, right from the time when you get an engagement letter till the time you document a report, you create a report, you go in court for testification and continuous quality improvement. Now, a very basic question that we have every time as to why do we have these standards? What was the need for these standards? There are enough accounting standards. Why do we need to burden the professionals with one more? So the simple answer to this question is, which I used to face in my career. Whenever we used to write a report, whenever we used to go to court or an attorney for testification, we always had that problem of asking too many difficult questions by either by the client or probably by the professional. So we were asked a question as to why did you say we had investigated 20 bank accounts? So we were asked a question as to why did you investigate these 20 bank accounts? What was the need to go so deep to investigate the 20 bank account? And consider similar question from the opposing counsel. Say the prosecution is asking why did you investigate, the defense is asking why did you investigate 20 accounts? What was the need of going to 20 accounts? The other party will ask why only 20 accounts? There were 200 accounts. Why didn't you go deep? Why did you stop here? So the problem was that because this practice, this area of work is not governed under any regulation. There's no law, act, white paper, guidance note, anything for time being in force which governs the profession of forensic accounting. That is why we needed an authoritative document on which professionals can fall back and there can be a minimum standard guaranteed for performance of the work. There is to be matching of mind between the client and the professional who's investigating. So as a professional, I know what needs to be done. As a client, there's a minimum benchmark set as to what would be expected from me. Again, this standard has given a lot of credibility to the work, and now courts as well as law enforcement agencies, several regulators, they are accepting these standards in a big way. They are leaning upon these standards. In fact, a lot of places we are seeing traction where the regulators and the engaging agencies, they are writing a sentence that the report should be prepared in accordance with the forensic standards issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. This standard has been made mandatory from 1st of July 2023. Now, let us quickly come to this slide where we show what are the standards. So if you'll see, I have omitted here one very important overarching document, which is the basic principles. Now we have 10 basic principles. 5 basic principles are for the attribute of the professional. So these basic principles have come from the code of ethics, honesty, integrity, independence, objectivity, these basic principles, which are already present in the code of ethics. So these are reiterated here. Second, we have the basic principles, which are basic principles for the engagement. So it is like primacy of truth, separating facts from opinion, contextualization of situation. Now, each of this merit, probably half an hour of discussion, each principles, because these principles are very common. So not going into the very technical part of the standards, there are certain landmark and certain differentiations which you'll notice from what was believed to be true and what is written in the standard. The first and foremost, most important aspect that I would like all the viewers and all the participants who are listening to us to know that this profession is no longer called, rather it was never called as forensic audit. Though colloquially, we will see that all the regulators, all the people in the ecosystem are calling this as forensic audit. But please understand, our standards specifically prohibit on using the word forensic audit. And this is called as forensic accounting and investigation standards. Now, little bit of background as to why this is called as forensic accounting and not forensic audit. There are two factors which were very crucial. I remember we had very passionate debate of around 6 hours to decide what this standard should be called. So what were the two deciding factors which won the vote in favor of forensic accounting and investigation? The first one, and the most important one: accounting is a profession, audit is subset of the accounting profession. Now, ironically, in India, accounting refers to bookkeeping. So the moment we say accountant, the image is that, oh, you must be doing some data entry in SAP system or Tally or whatever. But then accounting is beyond bookkeeping. The profession is accounting. Auditing is a subset. That is why, in fact, our qualification is chartered accountant, though we to conduct audit as core part of our business, core part of our work. So the first reason that accounting is a more generic, acceptable word. Second reason, globally, this practice is called as forensic accounting, forensic investigation, dispute resolution, integrity services, and so on. Except in our country, where it is colloquially called as forensic audit, nowhere else this profession is called as forensic audit. So please understand the first thing, that we don't call this as forensic audit. It is forensic accounting and investigation. Now, the standard covers 3 pillars. All types of engagement that we get, they are put into 3 pillars. First pillar is forensic accounting. Second is investigation. And third we have as litigation support. What is forensic accounting? Where the knowledge and skill of accounting is required to conduct the work, to give the report, we call it forensic accounting. Where operational data is required, say stock manipulation has happened, physical verification of stock, correlation of insurance claim, those come under investigation. And the third pillar that is called as litigation support, where an adjudicating authority may call you, or you are engaged specifically for the purpose of providing your report to be used in the court. One more thing which I would like to highlight here, because we are coming to the end of my time, is that in a forensic engagement, there are two peculiarities. Of course, there are a lot, but two comes to top of my mind. First, we don't have the concept of sampling. There's no concept of sampling. You have to check, you have to verify, you have to weight the entire population. Now, the simple reason for that is, consider you are supposed to investigate 100 transactions. Out of that, infected transactions are 10. Say you draw a sample of 10. Statistically, you will be having 0.1% chance of having a sample. That is why we have to investigate all the transactions. Second, we are not supposed to provide opinions. Please understand, it's a quest of fact. You are in a fact-finding position. Your role changes from assurance to fact-finding. That is why we have one of the basic principles and tenet, which is called as separating facts from opinion. So the professional is expected to give a report based on facts and not his or her opinion, unless he or she is called by the adjudicating authority or a court of law. Otherwise, you're not supposed to give opinion. Probably these are the two key facts which I would like to say. Again, you have on the screen, if you'll see, we cover the entire life cycle. It starts with engagement, fraud risk, laws and regulation, hypothesis, objectives, planning, executing. We also have 3 specialized areas for data analysis, for evidence in digital domain, and loans and borrowing. Finally, we have reporting results and quality control. So this is a quickest primer that I could give in the 15 minutes allotted to me for the forensic standards. I don't know whether we have time for question and answers, but I would like to share my contact details just in case if you have any questions. Please feel free to shoot it down to me. I reply to almost all I cannot say all, but almost all my emails and WhatsApp messages. The QR code here takes to my LinkedIn page where I publish articles pertaining to these subjects on a regular basis. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
So we do have a couple of minutes for questions.
Yeah, please.
So,
if you have questions, let us do that.
We do have a couple of minutes, and I think the most important one, foremost on everyone's mind, is what opportunities does this area of forensic accounting and investigation have for chartered accountants that have not done further qualifications in forensic accounting? And perhaps as a subset of that, what further qualifications should somebody seeking a career in that pursue?
Yeah. So, two parts of your question. Let me answer first the opportunity part. So people are excited to do this. See, I'll tell you the expectation of the regulator and all the stakeholders. Let me not use the word regulator. Expectation of all the stakeholder is increasing day by day, and audit is becoming a very onerous profession. Our expectation is very high. Again, with the advent of technology and the rise in disputes, in commercial disputes, there is a huge gap where investigators are falling short because of lack of technical knowledge. When I say technical is on the side of law and on the side of IT. So this forensic profession is something where you have to have a blend of accounting, law, technology, and everything. I welcome our past president Aniket Bhai. We hail from the same city, and madam, he was instrumental in implementing the forensic standards. I had the privilege of working with Aniket Bhai on several counts. And I was just answering the question, Aniket Bhai. I'll just take a minute and then over to you. I don't want to consume your time. You have only 15 minutes, I saw in the schedule, just like
No,
me.
please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was telling that the
Welcome to you, sir. Please just
opportunities are immense, madam. Opportunities are immense in all dispute resolution. So you have corporate disputes, you have matrimonial disputes, we have banks which are engaging, we have law enforcement agencies which are engaging. Lots of opportunities are there. Regarding qualification, we have our unique classroom-based learning qualification called as Forensic Accounting and Fraud Detection. That is for now the certificate course in Forensic Accounting and Fraud Detection. And this has been upgraded now to a diploma which is under pursual. It has been announced on several forums. That is why I'm taking the liberty to say that. Though it is not implemented as of yet, we are waiting for confirmation from the ministry. But then it has been announced, and it is very much, we are converting this into full diploma course, Forensic Accounting and Fraud Detection. These two are sufficient. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
thank you. Pleasure indeed to have you, sir. It was very informative for me. Where you said there is no sampling, where you said you don't conduct audits. These were things I didn't know. So for me personally, and I'm sure for all the audience, it has been very, very educative to have you here today. Thanks a lot for sparing time.
Thank you.
And with this, I would like to very warmly welcome Mr. Aniket Talati, our former president of the ICAI, who served from 2023 to 24. He doesn't need any introduction. All of us already know him. And a very warm welcome to you, sir. I must do my duty, of course, by sharing a little bit of background experience, but we all know him very well.
No, not needed, Maitriji. Absolutely not needed.
Now let me do this in a quick minute, sir. Mr. Talati, of course, is our former president, but also a partner of Talati and Talati LLP. Also an independent director at several companies and at leadership positions on reputed organizations like IFAC, CAPA, XBRL International Institute of Social Auditors, ICAI Registered Valuers Organization, Indian Institute of Insolvency Professionals, NAFRA, etc. And he's got a very broad experience in all aspects of accounting, auditing, taxation, financial management, etc. So really a pleasure having you here, sir. And we've spent the evening talking about operational excellence in the GCC sphere. Then we touched upon emerging areas in the United States. We talked about forensics, of course, just now. And over to you, sir, to talk about opportunities in GCCs, the Global Capability Centers.
Thank you very much, Maitriji, for the warm introduction and conducting this session so effectively. To my dear friends, Durgesh Pandeji, who's, of course, from Ahmedabad and also known to me for a lot of years. Always a pleasure to share any platform with you. It may be virtual or physical. I'm sure members would have been enlightened with all the experience that he has to share in the forensic domain. I think he's the go-to person as far as the institute is concerned for anything that is technical. The other speakers, Anandji and Praveerji. Praveerji, specifically to you, I'm in your time zone. When I got a call from the committee, Abhay Chajarji and the other members, council members in this committee for development of international trade services, and they said that they want me to speak on GCC opportunities. And today is organized as a US day. I said, you know what I'll do? I'll go to the US so that I can beat your time zone. Of course, that was in a lighter vein because I was scheduled to be in the US. So as I speak to you, I am speaking from what is the United Nations of Accounting. I am in the IFAC office, the International Federation of Accountants, and I'm here in New York as a part of the PAIB group meeting. But since I had the lovely invitation of addressing members, and of course being with fellow colleagues Durgesh Bhai, Praveen ji, and Anand ji, I thought I'll take the opportunity for the rest of the time that I have, maybe to dwell on some thoughts that I have on this very important and developing area of GCCs. I'm sure the speakers prior to me have enlightened you with the opportunities that are there in North America and the US in particular, and of course the newer areas in which GCCs are now developing. Gone are the days when India was just the bookkeeping capital or the place where you used to get a low-end accounting work done. Today, we have truly emerged as a global capability center because the capabilities that reside in India are no longer that of just bottom of the pyramid roles. But today we are in a position that a lot of CXO roles, it may be CFO, CTO, CAO, whatever you call it, those are no longer sitting in the head office in the US, but they are sitting in a global capability center somewhere. Let me give you a stark example of where I am in IFAC today. And in IFAC, it was always headquartered in New York, and all the functions used to be carried out through the New York office. But what is happening from 1st January in this very office is that all admin functions, all accounting functions, and all peripheral area is now being put into a GCC, which is being established by IFAC. What is also happening is they are no longer going to keep all the staff here in New York, but will be working out of separate offices in separate locations. And what that means is that even the largest accounting body, the confederation of all accounting bodies, 160 plus, you talk about India, US, Australia, Canada, UK, all accounting bodies, ICAI, AICP, ACP Australia, ICAW, ACC, we are all part of IFAC. And this common body itself is now looking to set up its own GCC. So what I'm trying to drive home the point is that today, I don't think it is a option or an exception, but it has truly become the norm for all large corporations and now even medium-sized and small-sized organizations globally, that if you want the right talent, you want the right turnaround time, and of course, you want to manage your operations and cost. I think India is an extremely attractive destination. So to all the participants who are tuning in, let me tell you that there is a huge opportunity. But along with the opportunity, let me also very honestly share and give some honest feedback that it cannot be assumed that India is the only destination. Today, we live in a world where there are multiple countries competing for this work. There used to be a time when only India was the largest provider of these services. Today, you not just have Philippines, but so many countries in Europe, such as Poland and others, who are also offering some very good regimes for GCC setup. And these are not just in terms of the cost, but also the talent pool available in these countries. So, for all those of you who are looking to leverage on this ICI Global Week to navigate global opportunities and make sure that you can get some work internationally from these places, my request to you is don't think that the world is waiting with a red carpet for you to be welcomed, and whatever you do, is going to be because of a cost advantage given to you. You will have to prove a qualitative advantage. And therefore, my request is wherever you go, please do not half bake yourself and present any solutions to any entity, organization, or for that matter, a GCC, because you are not only carrying that brand for yourself, but when you go and represent in these places, you are representing the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, the accounting profession of India, which has been building a brand for so many years. Our members who are residing in these countries, who are leading chapters, and of course contributing in so many other areas of companies, they have built a brand for Indian chartered accountants. Other companies, organizations, service providers have also built a brand for India and Indian chartered accountants. And therefore, to my younger colleagues and friends who are looking at jumping on this opportunity, I think just a word of caution, make sure you have the right skill sets. If you are going to the US, you should know what you're pitching. You cannot come here and talk to a client and say, yes, we'll do your bookkeeping. And then when somebody asks you, how do you depreciate an asset here in tax basis? You cannot say, oh, I'll find out and figure that out. No, I don't think that's an option. I don't think that's an opportunity. So a very important part that all of you will have to do, and I'm sure the speakers prior to me have also spoken about what these skill sets are. You will have to upgrade yourself. If you are going to Australia, you need to understand what are the local laws, what is an SMSF, for example, what are VAT filings. If you go to the UK, how do the VAT filings there work? And if you are in the US, what is sales tax? How does federal and state tax work? There are so many nuances to each country. Yes, Indian chartered accountants are deeply respected and I feel extremely well qualified, but do not ever have the feeling that I know everything. Because I'm an Indian chartered accountant, I hold the membership degree that I can service the globe. A very important aspect of what all of you need to do is upgrade and upskill yourself. So I would deeply urge all members who are listening in, thinking of developing a global map for themselves, please use various forums, please use the certificate courses and so many other events that are organized by this committee to upgrade your skills. If required, look for additional qualifications, because Chartered Accountancy of India, yes, it will be a qualification that will help you, but look at then developing a qualification for these countries where you aim to provide services. And when I'm here in the US, and I think I've been given the topic of speaking on the opportunities in GCC, I think it's one of the largest markets. It has always been one of the largest markets for India. Today, if you look at the Fortune 500 companies, majority of them have set up a GCC in India. And I think we have just scratched the surface. In terms of the opportunity that lies ahead, many companies are looking to look east, look towards India and set up their GCCs, have a common consolidated operational center in India. And I think with the kind of infrastructure, both physical and human, so physical capital as well as human capital that India has to offer, I think there is tremendous opportunity for growth of GCCs, and of course huge professional opportunities for our members to service various companies here. But I think what is important and extremely critical is to build those strong networks, to build that trust, because it is not that tomorrow you decide to work in a foreign jurisdiction and people will line up and provide work to you. You have to understand that this is not an empanelment. You are not filling up a form that you will apply for an MEF and the institute will say, here, there are 5 foreign clients that you can start servicing on. No, that's not how the international market works. Like I said, upskill yourselves, network, try and build a strong network of professional colleagues, interact with the chapters, interact with other professional bodies, interact with other associations who are looking to give these networking opportunities. So I think what we have to do as chartered accountants is, like I said, not just on the technical part of upgrading our skills or adding newer qualifications, improving our networking skills, our communication skills. Very, very important aspects for one to succeed in the international market. There is no chalta hai attitude in the West. You cannot say that, oh yeah, I was supposed to deliver some service to you tonight, but you know what, I'll do it tomorrow. Your client in India may accept it, but the Western culture is very different. If it is due at 6 p.m., it better be in the inbox at 5:59. Because if it's 6:01, you've already missed your deadline. So understand these nuances, understand the cultural differences, understand the fact that if you can look at the logo that everybody has been had behind them, and I'm not able to keep that virtual screen with me, but Maitreji or everybody else has the CA India logo behind them. always remember that this is the brand that you are carrying with you when you are in any part of the world and representing India or the Indian accounting profession. Those three colors, the tricolor of India, is there in the CA logo, and therefore, whatever you do is going to be a reflection on not just the Indian accounting profession, but India as a country. And therefore, you have to be very clear that you have the right technical skills, you have the right networking skills, you have the right communication skills, and most importantly, have the right attitude to service the clients, to deliver services on time. And I think if that skill sets can be developed, there are huge opportunities working with CPA firms, working directly B2B with businesses, doing bookkeeping and filing work for taxation of so many businesses directly from India. It's just about taking that leap of faith and providing these services. And if bookkeeping, accounting, and tax is not your forte, as Durgesh ji and other speakers today have spoken, there are so many other areas. It may be arbitration, it may be forensics, so many areas which can also now be thought of, especially with the advent of AI. People are no longer looking to just give basic bottom of the pyramid roles, but they want you to do analytical jobs. And I think who better than Indian chartered accountants to perform these functions? So if we are able to do that, I think the future is extremely bright. My best wishes to all the participants who have joined in, and my special thanks to the committee, the chairman, the vice chairman, and everybody else, Monica ji and the team, for organizing this very important ICI Global Week. And let's hope that at the conclusion of this Global Week, a lot of chartered accountants can be inspired to not just service Indian clients, but truly become global accountants and foresee a day that their P&L or income and expenditure statement not just has revenue and receipts from Indian clients, but you have revenue and receipts coming in US dollars, in Canadian dollars, in pound sterling, in Australian dollars, or so many other currencies that are there. The opportunity is endless. Even if somebody is willing to learn another language, and maybe Spanish or French, 30 or 40 different countries open up to you if you have Spanish or French as a language. So yes, huge opportunities in the service sector. We just need somebody to think bold, think big, and if you're able to do that, I think huge doors are there to be opened in front of you. Thank you very much, and my best wishes to all of you.
Thank you, Aniket ji, for opening our eyes to how the world is now our oyster. So thank you so much, and good takeaways on upskilling, on communication, on being the brand ambassadors for the institute and for the country. So thank you so much for all that, and it was very inspiring and encouraging for all of us. Symbolic, of course, that you're there in New York and helping with the outsourcing of IFAC's own accounting services. So thanks a lot for spending your time, sir, and helping us understand what a great opportunity this sector is. Thank you. With that, I would like to thank all our speakers for the day, for spending their time and educating our audience. And thanks a lot to all the participants in this session. So thank you, Aniket ji, thank you, Praveen ji, and Anand ji, and Mr. Durgesh, and our two speakers who have dropped out because their session was much earlier, Mr. Girinath Dave and Mr. Ankit Chu. So thanks to all the speakers and to the committee for organizing this session.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.